Ready to talk? We're good? Okay. Hello, beautiful soul stars. My name is Canacia. I am a 13 zodiac sign astrologer, a constellation astrologer, a true sky, true sidereal astrologer. And today I want to talk about Love Island, reality TV, real life, and relationships. And I have my dear friend Noni Kai to do that with me. So welcome, Noni Kai.
Hello, everyone. How are you? My name is Monica. You can also call me Suri-Ann. And I am the founder of the Hers Embodiment Intuitive Method. And yeah, I am here to talk all things reality TV, relationship, and real life in real time. And mind you, I know nothing about this show. So this is going to be a great conversation because I'm a neutral perspective. And we're gonna get into it. I'm excited to see how this goes, how this plays out. Um,
Same.
but I think we
And
wanna go ahead.
And same, as someone who has actually been watching the TV show, there's a lot of nuance to watching reality TV and pairing that with our real life, but then also having it reflect a lot of the things that we either navigated through or we have seen friends navigate through in relation to relationships. So, in a way, these TV shows definitely reflect how we may be experiencing our own life. And of course, because both Noni and I do spiritual work, we're not just coming at this with a perspective that is not grounded in our own spirit, but more so really kind of putting the puzzle pieces together from an astrological lens, a spiritual lens, and a human lens. So I'm looking forward to connecting all of the dots with all of you. I also have another video, which I will probably post after this, of course, but I actually went through all of the different cast members to see what their true sidereal birth charts, zodiacs actually are. So I have that as well, and I look forward to getting into it. So we're going to start with a collective message. I'm also going to read some transits and see how that ties into this collective message that we are navigating through right now. So to begin, Noni, if you would like to start us with a beautiful collective message, let's do it.
Yes. And also, I was gonna say before we do this, can you hear me? I lost you for a second.
Yeah, I also lost you. I think you're
Okay,
back. I
that's
think we're
good.
good.
We are good. Actually, I might be a little okay. We're delayed. I was gonna ask how you were. How are you? How is your world before we get into everybody else's world? What's
That's so
going on there?
true.
You're looking good. You're
Thank
looking
you.
good. You're looking good. You're feeling good. I hope you're feeling good too.
I'm feeling good. The beginning of the week was very interesting because, I went out to a restaurant with a friend. Later on, I was very excited to share something with my dad. His response was interesting. And then also watching Love Island afterwards put some things into perspective. So the beginning of the week was definitely rocky. I was in my emotions, but I also chose to start journaling all of the things that have been showing up for me because yeah, this show has been illuminating, I'll say. How are you doing?
Better. I was going through some real crazy times. Um, this whole month up until I would say 4 days ago, and I've been hearing about this show everywhere, and I'm like, what in the Chinese food takeout is going on here? Like, what is really happening? And out of my curiosity, because you and a few other people that I know, that's the hot topic. Now, I have a question, real quick. Is the show over, or is it still in a thing, or like what? what's the status of this
The
show?
show is over. The show is complete. There is no reason to really be talking about it, but it is definitely the tea for this coming week. So yeah, that it's like everyone is sharing their reflections post the show.
All right, all right. Well, other than that, I have been fine. I've been moving through a lot of energy, um, doing a lot of deep reflection because of where my placements are, which we'll get into sometime during this live, I'm sure. Um, and it has been an eye opener. So it's interesting because I feel like relationships and the topic around relationships is kind of where everybody is. Like everybody's talking about relationships, whether it's their personal relationships and or, you know, this particular show. I think that and even in relationship to yourself, right? Like I have been deep diving into my relationship with myself and people around me. So I think this is all very, very interesting and perfect timing per usual. So I
Per
will get
usual.
into per usual the collective read, which I already have a feeling that it's going to be about CMR. Ooh, get there. About self-reflection. Um, okay, we're already here. Spirit is here. Gratitude to the Most High Creator. I love you and I appreciate you. And in this moment, I would like to speak directly to you, my higher selves, and my benevolent ancestors and benevolent beings that walk with me and share the highest and greatest love and intention for my well being and the well being of others in this collective. In the moment, I would like to have a message for the collective, what is actually going on and what is the message that's needed to be heard. Um, I will that all of the people that need to hear this message reaches them, whether it is in this particular moment or is after this recording. Uh, ooh, gratitude. Let me take a deep breath real quick. If everybody wants to take a deep breath, that is wonderful. So we're in a time that we are this is a great period for all of us to be stepping into our greatness above and beyond what our own expectations are, meaning allowing our ego to be pushed aside, allowing our true self to be pushed forward, allowing for all of the things that we cultivated through different space-time continuums, all the things that we've been trying to will into existence. This is really prime time for being in your particular spotlight, out of the hermit crab, introspective, hiding, or trying not to be seen. This is the time, especially in this particular year where we need to be pushing forward because once if we are not willing to move in, in the grace that we're given, we're not willing to have that ebb and flow, as they're saying, it's going to feel forced and it's going to feel very uncomfortable. And it's going to just deter you from the actual thing that you're meant to be focusing on, where your energy should be focusing on, which is you ultimately. Where you're meant to be growing, expanding, where it is not just in the immediate moment, but for some time. This is energy that has been cultivated for a long time. So sitting with your self, they're saying individual self, interesting word choice. But sitting outside of the collective, sitting with your personal space and really asking the questions, what is it that you want to See your bigger picture. Don't let the outside world get you twisted and tangled up into whatever it is that they're doing. This is really a reevaluation for what it is that you're needing, what it is that you're wanting, and how to be clear in that, because the universe is already accepting and already pushing you into that space. So the more you reject it, or the more you feel less empowered to do so, the more you doubt, the more you fear, the more you seek outside of yourself, the more you're going to become more confused, and will create a wall where you're like hitting the wall, and that particular energy is going to lessen and put a damper on all of the good works that you've been doing up until now. So get yourself out of your way, get out of your head, into your mind and your body and your heart, and start pushing forward and walking in your truth. Observe the collective, but you don't have to be doing what the collective is doing. Because right now, everybody's seeking um, this same energy. There is they're talking about, like, the word is coming is like this precipice, this energy that is literally at the top, sitting at the top, waiting to be pushed over so that the change can actually come. I'm just going to pull one card from one of my favorite decks to see. Wow. They're talking about a radical rebirth and holding sacred space. And that sacred space really is about you finding your inner ability to see yourself for who you are, not what you're thinking you're supposed to be or what you've been told you were supposed to be. The light is expanding. So expand with it. Perfect. Faith. This is perfect. A lot of people mistake what faith is and ego. This is a very, and it's the 10, which is new beginnings. It emphasizes the 1 year that we're
Mm-hmm.
currently in. Technically, we are in a 10 year, but this is the one. And this is also divine masculine and divine feminine energy represented. So, and as you see the sun, you see there's solitude here, right? That person is taking time to be with one and the creator, which is themselves, right? And the most high, whenever they deem fit for themselves in that space, um, so that they can gain clarity and see for themselves what it is that they need to do instead of stepping outside of themselves to find that. Okay. The card says, at each stage of the soul's evolutionary ladder into expanded consciousness, a leap of faith is needed. Taking that leap of faith within you is choosing to jump without the reassurance of a safety net. It is choosing to move forward regardless of whether there is absolute certainty that things will work out the way you wish. Taking that leap into the unknown requires great courage. It is about trusting spirit despite not knowing what lies before you. This card encourages you to let go and allow the universe to take care of you. Release any doubts or fear you may hold and have faith in yourself. Have faith in your choices, which are guided by the wisdom of your heart. We all travel up the mountain path, experiencing both adversities and joy. What separates the visionaries from the crowd is their courage to take that leap of faith. Many stand at the edge of the cliff, right? There's that need to tip over. Many
Mm-hmm.
stand at the edge of the cliff with all their dreams, visions, and desires, but all out of fear stay at the cliff's edge. You were born to fly, dear one. By stepping out of your comfort zone and letting go of what was, you live your life to its fullest, your full creative potential. Have faith and live your life fearlessly. This is solar plexus, heart, and crown chakra energy. The affirmation here is I have faith. The wisdom of my heart continues to light my way. Holy moly, Bajoli. That is so accurate for myself and I'm sure for many people. But um, gratitude spirit for that. Oh, look at that sacred union. What's sacred union on the bottom of the garden? We were there.
Period.
That's
Period. We
great.
love that.
That's great. Well, isn't that what we've been talking about? We're going to talk about this today.
We are going to
Sacred
talk
union.
about it. There was a moment
And
where
that's
it
the
kind of
same.
cut out for a moment, but I'm really praying and willing that the whole message was heard and properly, because I'm hearing is a little like, but it sounded
Oh,
like in alignment to the energy in which we're wanting to speak about today, because from the last couple of weeks there has been like a huge shift in energy, and I'll get into some of these placements as well, because the fact that we are even talking about relationships and also watched many other people go on a TV show to build and create their own relationship, it is it's so in alignment. Let's just say that it's really in alignment for how reflective the potent energy is right now. And for example, right now, we have the sun that is officially in Cancer season. We have Jupiter that is in Cancer. It's already been in Cancer from the beginning of June. Then we have the South Node and Venus, both inside of Leo. Today, the moon is in Virgo. We have Pluto in Capricorn, the North Node in Aquarius, Neptune, Saturn, and Chiron all inside of Pisces, and Chiron slowly making its way to Aries. Slowly, it's like at the last 2 degrees. Then we have Uranus and Mars both inside of Taurus, and we have Mercury retrograde in Gemini. And we just came out of this Gemini portal, but because Mercury retrograde is still here, there's a lot of internal reflection going around with our own communication, our own frequency, but then also the conversations that have been amplified on social media, for example. There's a lot of information that is being shared, even with real life stories that we have been witnessing, when it comes to having conversations, we could be having conversations to be understood. We could be having conversations specifically to ensure that we're not trying to hear what people actually have to say. We are having conversations around like what is important to us and our history and our story and the narratives that we want to be able to pass along in the future. When we are navigating through this Jupiter in Cancer and now the sun being here as well, this is asking us to really look at where we potentially have things to heal in relation to our home, in relation to our family. And I know even for myself this week, my relationship with home, family, cousins, relatives, especially the fact that I have a lot of male relatives, a lot of times they reflect what I also experience with men in real life. And it is definitely bringing a lot up outside of the fact that we're also needing to pay attention to where we might have mother wounds. If we've watched a relationship with our mother constantly choosing the wrong partner, I mean, of course, we might end up potentially reflecting that same narrative. This is a time to like heal those things. If there
yes.
is maybe even someone who's dealing with a father who was never really loyal, and then you keep attracting partners that are not loyal. I mean, these are very reflective times for us to pay attention to what is it that we are accepting and what is it that we're choosing not to accept anymore? And how have those stories also reflected within our family dynamics that is causing us to create the same pattern? It's like now's the time to release, dismantle, create new standards for yourself with this Jupiter in Cancer energy. It's going to be here until about September 8th or 9th. And it's a short portal. You know, everyone's talking about Jupiter
Mhm.
being in Leo, and that's just not accurate quite yet. Right now, we all
Mhm.
need to feel safe in our bodies, safe in our vessels, safe in the home that we are creating here in order for us to ever open up our home space, our intimate space
Yeah.
with another partner. So that is part of the energy that we need to be focusing on. And then over the last couple of weeks as well, we've had Venus that has been conjunct with the South Node. And when you were speaking to the ego, absolutely, with the ego is one of
Yeah.
those things where we are needing collectively to release some of this connection to the ego, and not to make the ego bad, but more so, where are we
Sure ain't.
still, you know, like where are we still getting trapped in the elitism, you know, post all of this Love Island. I've been watching a lot of people posting about like, oh, Anaya has 1 million followers. Let's get Carl up to 1 million followers. Trinity's at 3.2 million followers. And they're following their vanity metrics. And I find that to be just so interesting as an astrologer, as someone who is very spiritual and watching from that specific lens. Because, of course, I feel like watching Love Island has been the first human thing I have done in a really long time. Like, talk about indulged, okay? I was not paying
Right.
attention to it at all, but I fully dove into it as someone who does like to watch a lot of different love TV shows, and specifically to psychoanalyze them. Even though I'm not a psychology major, I don't have that in my back pocket, but I do study it a lot. I'm also an astrologer,
Mhm.
and that is obviously learning about people, studying people, and reading people's birth charts. I've had many, many clients and my own experiences, as well as my friends, being able to see the different dynamics. I'm totally watching from a, you know, typically an analytical position where I'm like, nope, they need to heal that. They probably have this placement in their birth chart, and just assuming what I think is going on. And that's just how I show up. But because we've had this energy with Venus next to the South Node in Leo, everyone is talking about relationships, because it is also something that we are needing to navigate internally. Where are we needing to release some of this ego, but also what past relationships are potentially showing up again? I know I definitely had a guy reaching out to me, and it's been literally almost 2 years since the
Okay.
last time we spoke, like literally around
Okay.
this kind of, you know, around this time where I'm just like, what are you doing
Mhm.
in my DMs? Especially, do you have anything to say? Like, what are you doing here? Are you going through
Mhm.
something? Like, are you feeling emotional? Are you realizing that you fumbled the bag? Like, I don't like, what are
That's
you doing?
period.
You know, like, I don't know what you're doing here, but that was something like soon as they had reached out to me, it was reflective of where I needed to be looking at my birth chart to see, like, why are you actually showing up? Because days before, I was speaking with a friend about her and her relationships, saying, pay attention to when men show up. I absolutely believe that men have a cycle, and their cycle is
Oh
very
yeah.
strategic. They don't know that they're in a cycle, especially if they're not paying attention to the constellations. But I feel as though, you know, some men in my life around a specific time in the month, they would get kind of like nasty or just get kind of like moody. And I'd be like, what is going
Mhm.
on with you? And I'm telling this to
Mhm.
my friend, and literally a day or two later, this dude messages me, and it's been 2 years. That is South Node. That's the South Node and that Venus placement, because Leo also
Mhm.
likes to cuddle. It likes to be around other people. It likes to
Yes.
be seen. It wants to be felt. It wants to be nurtured. It wants to play. And when we're
Mhm.
thinking about also Leo, sometimes we look at Leo as like the life of the party, but true Leo energy, in my opinion, it's not seeking to be seen. It is grounded
Right.
in being seen. It is nurtured by being seen and applauded, but it's because they actually see that for themselves. It's not seeking the vanity of it all. And having Venus South Node conjunction, that is definitely giving the collective is, I feel like that is something I can't get into it. I'm not understanding that part of the collective energy in a way. Like, why is I haven't seen a girl that was like manifesting for Anaya's collaborations in the future. And I was like, wow, like I thought I was in it as far as like talking about it, but literally making mood boards for Anaya for a vision that she could have. And I was like, wow, this is so interesting. And maybe I should look at
A
the tropical.
lot.
It's a lot. Maybe I should be
That's a
looking at
lot.
huh?
I was saying that's a lot.
It's a lot. And like maybe I should be looking at the tropical birth chart or the tropical transit chart to understand why the collective is doing things like that, because that's not grounded in your own knowing at all. It's like a lot of the energy that is happening right now. It's like people need to remember their own values. People need to remember that they too get to have authority around being seen. A lot of people's talking that there, a lot of people are talking about being seen, being seen, being seen. People who want to feel seen and be recognized, but at the same time, they're not feeling safe in their vessel. That's because we still need to move through this Cancer energy. If Cancer is also sitting at the bottom of your birth chart and it is where you need to feel safe in your home, in your body, of course, if that is not in comfort, you're not going to want to be seen by the public. You need to create
Mhm.
that space before all eyes on you, all eyes on me. Like we need
Hey.
to like dial the thing back here. And with even having Pluto in Capricorn right now, with a lot of these systems, structures, elitism, people that we have been putting on a pedestal with authority, or maybe even false authority, lack of authority, it's time for us to
Mhm.
like pull it back. Leo energy does not like false angels, false gods, false deities, false anything like
Mhm.
that. So it's very interesting that the collective is kind of in that energy. It is a time for us to release the ego that we have for ourselves, the egos that we may even have for other people. There's only but so much we can come to conclusions with when we're only seeing minutes of people's lives out of 6 weeks. It's an hour per
Yes.
day. And it's like
Yep.
edits and all these other things. So I don't know. That energy is interesting, I will say. And then we have Moon inside of Virgo. So this is again just another time for us to really reflect on what parts of ourselves need some healing, some readjusting. Where are we focusing our energy? What needs some cleanup? You know, where do we need to be organized? And then I already spoke about this Pluto and Capricorn energy. It really is. It is a dismantling, but it's also opposite to Jupiter in Cancer. And this opposition is showing us where sometimes people are wanting to put men on a pedestal, where the
Mhm.
patriarchy is also at, and just like holding on, like they're holding on for dear fucking life. It's kind of wild and crazy. And I think that all of that, which we'll get into, is reflective of where we still need a lot of healing. Like there's so much to do with, yeah, the patriarchy really just fucked everything up. That's all I'm gonna say. It just fucked
Girl.
it, like it fucked everything up. And then we have the North Node that's in Aquarius. A lot of people think that Pluto is in Aquarius, and this is where paying attention to what energy is actually being amplified is important, because a lot of people tropically are paying attention to Pluto and Aquarius and putting all of their energy into technology and AI and this, that, and the third, forgetting that they are the technology. We are the technology. The technology is not outside of us. And of course, we can look at being able to use different devices as a new way to transform and to amplify and guide ourselves in new directions and new visions. But none of those things actually exist without you and your authenticity. So
Facts.
that's a message. And then period.
Period.
And then we have Neptune, Saturn, and Chiron inside of Pisces. And this is just wanting us to reimagine the visions, the ideas, the things that we have potentially put on the back burner. Like Saturn is here saying, look, you could have your vision, but what are we going to create and stabilize for you to actually have that vision be in to come into fruition? If you are not allowing yourself to actually dream bigger, because potentially Saturn energy is like, does that actually make sense? At the same time, Delulu is the Salulu. I'm sorry, but Anaya wanting her fairy tale, and then another person saying, you know, times have changed, like chivalry's dead. I'm popping, so I'm not going to open the door for you. Like, baby got
Crazy.
her fairy tale. Okay,
Crazy.
Delulu is the Salulu to make your dreams come true. That's on
Okay.
period. You know, and there's a cycle of people in the older generation who have also been navigating through a Chiron in Pisces energy, where maybe they're realizing, like, you know what, I did have this vision a long time ago. I'm ready to actually activate that. I'm ready to stop putting it on the back burner. I'm ready to give myself permission to actually wield whatever it is that I have been thinking about for so long, and let it be real. Because what is the definition of realistic? I cannot stand when people talk about realism. It's like we're humans and there's literal babies that come out of females. How are we talking about realism?
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that the mothers live through that, they're able to birth babies and survive. That's magic. I don't care what anybody
We
says.
gotta create them first. We gotta hold them and incubate them and feed them before they even have a breath of this life. It's what crazy. It's
Like,
what crazy.
what?
Yeah.
The
And not
animals,
die.
and not die, because I cannot imagine that shit at all. Like, kudos to the women out there. Like, wow, like that magic. If any, it just doesn't
Right.
make any sense. It truly does not make any sense. Like, you got the bow chicka wow wow to the egg choosing the sperm, reminder to the men out there who
Reminder.
think that the men's sperm is doing anything. No, the female egg is choosing who she even
Sends
wants
out
to mate with.
electricity to this.
So
Anyway,
can we just
there's there's
realize
so
that,
many
okay?
layers. There's so
So
many
many
layers.
layers, right? And then this baby is just growing and expanding inside one's belly, and then it's literally coming from thin air, sperm and an egg, into reality. I don't want to talk to anybody about
Oh,
what is real and what's not real, because none of this shit is real, okay? None of
not
it.
one fucking thing.
Okay. And then we have Uranus and Mars in Taurus. And I have been saying it a million times. Uranus and Taurus is going to be here until 2032. This is absolutely
God,
going to be affecting our money, our resources, our finances, food, our food, our food. Because it makes sense to mess with the food, because the food has to do with our just standard health. If we don't have good food, we don't have good mental health. We don't have a good gut, which is our first brain. So, of course, they're always going to go after that. Then with Mars, Mars is very much a fiery energy. It has been melting the damn land at this point in time. It is explosive. It is trying. I mean, the two of those planets together, it's chaos. And right now, Mars is basically over the natal Mars of the USA chart, and it's going to be moving to the natal Mars in like a couple, maybe it's a couple weeks, barely. Yeah, maybe a couple weeks. It's like
hmm.
July 31st or 30th, I think. And then until like August 2nd, Mars is going to be conjunct Mars. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Oh, I don't
That's
like
all
none
I'm
of that,
saying. I don't
especially
like
where
none
that
of it.
sits in my placement in my
Exactly.
chart.
So,
Uh,
yeah, so that's the energy of what is happening in the sky right now. I also just released another video, so it doesn't really matter whether people hear it here or somewhere else. But if you want more in depth around that energy, definitely check out my last posted video, July 3rd. Shit's already hitting the fan, or whatever A/B testing shows up for you. Anyway, so in relation to that energy, what has been going on with you, and like, where are we? Whoa, I guess that's the card that we need to get. um, where truth. Look at that.
period. Speak your truth.
Period. You know, like where have you been feeling in the last couple of weeks in relation to relationships?
For me, um, it's been my personal relationship with myself, my children, and the creator. N- And more less about like my external friend sister group because that I worked on prior to this moment. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel very solid in that, even though I also recognize that there's a shift there as well, in certain dynamics, because because of the internal work and the questioning of how I see myself, where my worthiness is because of my placement, right? So I have in the second house, I have Uranus in the second house, and Jupiter Cancer in my 11th house, and um, my 8th house placement I'm forgetting. But I do remember,
Chiron.
I do know Chiron, Lord have mercy, in Aries. Jeez, just like that. And just like that, we're back. And so, and that also, that Aries energy also is situated in my fourth house. Oh my God, with Sagittarius and all that. But my internal compass has been like, where do you see yourself amongst the many? Um, and I think a lot of it has just really been about, again, like my worthiness and how I'm showing up for myself and how it's showing up for my children and what the dynamics are because things are changing. I mean, it's been a lot. It's almost like it's not too much to talk about, but just um, overall, it's just been how I'm relating to myself, and also, am I ready for a relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want a relationship? How do I see men at this point in my journey? Because I went from being a pick me to being like fuck men altogether to now being like, oh, they kind of cute still. They still kind of cute. I don't know. Am I good? you know, and then it's like, but and all of this is like, okay, but where do you see yourself in a relationship? How are you
Mm-hmm.
going to approach the relationship world? You know what I'm saying? Like, I always feel like when you get out of a relationship, you still need some training. Cutting yourself all the way out for a time, okay, fine. But you still need to be in the game some kind of how because like anything else, we're always going to be tested with our resolve, right? It's like, okay, you say you're over that behavior. You say that you're not going to do this and do that. You say that you've grown in these spaces. Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm. Prove
If
it.
someone approaches, now prove it, right? When someone approaches you, how do you respond? Are
Mm-hmm.
you going to be mental about it? Are you going to be physical about it? Or are you going to be, spiritual about it? Where are you landing here?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and what do you need? More importantly, what do you want?
That
Because
part.
we don't, the need has changed, like we were talking about earlier, and perhaps maybe this is a good way to segue into that. But the need for women to be in a relationship has changed dramatically in the past 40 to 50 years, actually 30 to 40 years, because of our ability to be independent of a man's financial stability.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we did not have a choice but to seek out a man to marry us and hopes that it was a genuine love situation.
Mm-hmm.
If you were lucky enough to be in love, and good for you, right? And if you were lucky enough that he wasn't whipping your ass at home and calling you all types of crazy names because you could not leave that. Once you were married, it was that to be widowed or to be divorced was like blasphemous because now you're depending on the man's family or your own if that's the case. And you know, the Black American dynamic, it wasn't like you didn't there were no choices. You're not going home to mama's and
Mm-hmm.
them's house. Like you really were out there struggling to survive. You didn't have a place, you could not go to a financial institution to open up a bank account.
Yeah.
You could not get higher education. It was very select few who had that opportunity to do that. You could not even have your own medical advice. You oftentimes, if they didn't lobotomize your ass, okay, you were really left to just be out there, just hoping that your herbal remedies was key and was working because you're otherwise you're out of here. So
Mm-hmm.
how we look at relationships now, we have an opportunity. And we're in a place right now where we don't have to rely on a man financially. And so, therefore, our options have completely changed. We can get a higher education, we can open our bank accounts, we can buy our own homes, and we are excelling in most of these categories right now. However, the crazy part about it is these men are still living in the mindset of the 50s where we got to be coming home doing all of the cooking, all of the cleaning, all of the child rearing. After coming home, working 40 to 50 hours a week, making more money than y'all most of the time. I can say most of the time because that's this. Look at it. And we're still offering that. No problem. There are still people offering that. Like, I really just want you to be here with me. I don't
Mm-hmm.
need you. I love you. And I think the men have not caught up to that understanding because we are still living in a fucking patriarchal society that
Yeah.
says a man knows all, is all, and it can be all, and you are second to all of that, even though
Mm-hmm.
you have proven yourself and we've given you opportunity to prove yourself over and over. And we still get the second, the we're still second in command,
Mm-hmm.
as if we're not offering or keeping our safe. And not only that, there's still a health benefit for us to even be fucking
Exactly.
single. Can
That
you
part.
imagine the
Which I
fact
want
that
to.
men? Mhm.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say men can't. They live longer with us.
Yeah.
We as women live longer amongst each other. However, if you are married, you're more than likely to not live as long anymore, because you're
Exactly.
providing, you're working just as hard, you're providing just as much, and the stress of the relationship is taking people out, taking women out.
That part.
And
But
go ahead.
I wanted to bring up something that you had mentioned when it comes to how we're looking at the fact that women are one excelling in the job space and we don't necessarily need that dynamic anymore, but also it just made me think about how the patriarchy was literally built for men to be the ones that are going out to get the job in order for them to be the breadwinner, in order for them to project that narrative of what we need in a man. So it's like they set themselves up to be put in
Yes.
those positions, and now we don't need that at all. And that's why in some ways they're still kind of struggling around this whole concept
Yes,
because that's all they've known for a long
right.
time.
The patriarch doesn't serve men either.
Either,
It it it
exactly.
it literally hinders their life expectancy and their expansion because someone has said, and I can't attribute it to a specific person, but I did hear this the other day that women are looking to date a man that doesn't exist, and men are still trying to date women of the past. And so, even though dating has become more accessible, everyone's more miserable because men are still like, you still got to show up the same way you've been showing up for the past 100,000 million years,
Mm-hmm.
and we get to be the same. And despite the fact that you're doing more and don't need us to, hold you in any capacity, where women are now able to choose, they don't care, and that's why there's this loneliness epidemic, right?
That
That's why
part.
more men are now lonely because they're not changing at the rate that we are. And this is not to dismiss the wanting or the quote need of having males. This because some people be like,
Absolutely
you're
no.
just saying that because you man hate man. Hell no, I love me a good man and shit. I love me
Period.
a bad man. I've had them all. You know, you know what I'm
Definitely dated a man that
saying?
just got out of prison. So yeah. There's no
Yes.
judgment, like, and also we are
And
in
also,
times that have completely shifted. And it's unfortunate sometimes because as much as we really do love men, I think in some ways they're not always open up to really hear what we are trying to say, what we are
sure.
willing to say, because of the fact that the patriarchy has lasted in a specific way for a very long time. And now the facade of that, the protection and, the leadership, all these things that, like, it's just not, we're generally speaking, 99.9% of women probably do not feel safe walking at night or really by themselves
Hmm.
because of men. That is
Yeah,
not protection. I'm sorry. If we were actually receiving the protection that men say they do, I think that we'd be living in a completely different reality. I think many of us would feel like it's okay to go outside. We would feel okay to dress as we please. We would feel okay to really do anything that we wanted because men would be there to protect us. But no,
sure.
a lot of times, I even know for myself, I cover up because I don't want men to be looking at me. I don't want to feel like they're about to kidnap me and put me in their car. They'd probably release me because I have a fucking loud mouth and I would definitely be saying some things. But at the same time, that male gaze doesn't even feel comfortable because of what men are capable of doing, because of their strength. Their strength can outweigh anything that we can will sometimes with our words, telling them to stop. Sometimes they still don't stop doing the things that we're asking them to stop doing because they just simply like to have control. And women
Right,
don't want that anymore.
right.
I don't
Because we
think we
don't
ever
have
did.
to.
I think we
We
were
never
just
liked it, but
trained. We never liked it, but we were
we never
forced
had
to
no life.
accept
We had,
it.
yeah, exactly. We had no other choice. It was survival. So if you lasted long enough to go into your, elderly age with this man who can no longer beat your ass because he's now senile and deaf and can't really, ain't nothing working on his body, and now he needs you to wipe his behind every night, and you sitting there just feeding him a little sip of poison real slow every night, honey. Oh, here, baby. Listen, it was diabolical. I'm saying it was diabolical for real. And there was something that you said. I'm hoping that it comes back to me, but um, it was around, okay, women not feeling safe walking down the street. There was a study done um, at a prestigious college. I can't quote it. Where a young girl was, essayed, and she
Mm.
reported it, and the college, to, try to negate this from happening again, said all women should stay at home when it's at nighttime. And I thought, when I heard that, I thought, well, that's crazy. So the women, have to literally stop their lives and stay at home at a certain time because men are a threat. Now, the crazy part is when it was suggested that the men stay home, they felt like threatened. They felt like, well, why would we have to stay home? We're not the ones getting attacked. It's like, well, no, dummy, but you're the attacker. Like, oh, well, just because one man, this was the quote, like, just because one man did this thing, now all of us, well, yeah,
Yeah.
why do we, why, we're not the ones, we're not the ones doing the harming. Like, if y'all got together, like you do for every other dumbass thing, find the dude who did it and figure it out. This is how you protect us. You don't ostracize the
Literally
victim. Just like, how are you telling the victim that you're shaming the victim? That's crazy work. But this
crazy
happens all the time
all the
because they
time.
don't have any. Again, we're not even rearing our children to become more emotional. I don't say we're not, all of us, because some are. I know I'm trying to have emotionally intelligent young men, right? A lot of a lot of our culture, and a lot of people within our culture, and many females, have not bridged the gap yet, and are not really in alignment with themselves because they're living the life of
Hmm.
traditional patriarchy, and they're happy there. So they're breeding and continuing this problem. And now the liberals are the issue. And now it's like, oh, you guys need special, this is special. Well, actually, we just want equality here. Crazy
Period.
that you don't, because now it's that divide, right? The whole pick me, and the even the liberal, or the feminist, right? And it's like, wait a minute, let's just get back to basics on the even playing field, which has
Hmm.
never existed. We're not asking for special rights to exist. We're asking to exist. Like, just regular shit. Y'all stop being weird, and you would gain so much more from us. We want to love you. We want to
Exactly.
embrace you. It's who we are by nature. We really love you guys a lot. But you make
Especially
it
Noni.
difficult, okay? And you make it
I'm still
difficult.
working on it, but I love y'all, but at a distance.
Stay over here later. Okay? But yeah, and I'm like, come on, come on.
Yeah, me, I'm
um,
like, no, I'd be telling my friends, like, no, that is narc behavior. No,
Narky.
that's shady. Nope, that's weird. Like, I'm so quick with that energy. Like, I don't care because I just be reading between the lines of literally everything. And something else that you had mentioned too, when it comes to how we sometimes like hide the victim, hide the abuser, and put the victim as the headline. And that's just one of those things in news in general that we have to stop doing. There's so many times that people are afraid to actually talk about their abuser because of what people will say when they are the ones that should be outed immediately so that other women are actually protected. And we don't even do that because, oh no, da 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 da. And that was a lot of the energy that was happening around, one of the cast members, KC. In the beginning, he was saying a lot towards Anaya. Oh, you're so beautiful, black woman, this, black woman, that, your skin. When I think of a black woman, I see you. Like, he was saying all of these things. And soon as he had the opportunity to flip the switch, he flipped the switch. But for me, and a lot of people, I think, actually really liked Casey in the beginning. But for me, I was looking at that like, I don't trust this man at all. I don't care. he's saying all this sweet nothings to Anaya. I just don't trust him because he honestly reminds me of a lot of Black men I have experienced in my life, and not even as partners, but literally as friends. I used to play basketball, so the boys would tell me everything. I hated
Right.
sometimes going downtown and having to be in a club, and I'm seeing all the girls that some of these guys were just showing me their Facebook and talking about, oh, she did this, oh, she did that, oh, I had this. I mean, I would even sometimes have to not say something to some of these girls because I'm like, they're not the one. You know, I'd have to keep some of the information that I knew
Sure. Of course.
just because of how that person would take it, that person, and I would try to tell them I don't trust them, even though they're my boys. I'm like, he's not the one. And then also seeing how my cousins would act with these girls, uncles, parents, like we see all of these things on TV in our reality. We're seeing so many things, and I think people are pretending to like not realize it. It's kind of weird, you know. I think a lot of men want mommy girlfriends. They still want somebody to take care of them. There's a whole dynamic
Yes.
of men that want more passive women. Like I'm not that one. You
Yes.
know, I'm not that one at all. Like because I know that I get to be my individual self. And a true, strong, masculine man is also going to know that, oh, she's just in her power. She's not diminishing me or emasculating me. Because a lot of
Exactly.
men will like to throw that shit around too. Oh, emasculating a man. No, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Not at all.
No,
Not at all.
no.
If you are a innate womanizer and undeclared, there's so many of them, you are looking through the eyes like of a predator because you're
Exactly.
like, I want this. I'm gonna go get it. Instead of I'm curious about how this person can enlighten my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a very visceral difference
Big
to
difference.
wanting to actually understand another individual versus what can they do for me and how can I own that. And
Exactly. Capturing. It's like they want to capture. "Oh, I gotta get I gotta get a partner. Bro, do your own fucking do your own dishes, do buy your own groceries. Like we're not here to be maids. And I think a lot of men still want women to be their maid. It's like pick up your own fucking socks.
here's the thing that I mean, there's so many ways to slice the pie, right? Because we still have many men, generationally speaking, who are indoctrinated by religion, and religion tells us that women should be submissive, they should obey their husbands and be meek. And I did that. I know what that is. That shit's wild
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Almost literally killed me. And that's not, I'm not even exaggerating.
Mm.
And because that's not my true nature.
Yeah.
It's for me to not be able to actually speak is is like that's insane. But
That'd
most
be
of
completely going against your birth chart.
you, right? And at the time, I knew nothing about that, but it makes total sense as to why my literal life was being sucked out of me.
Yeah.
Um, and again, this we are in a different world. We are literally not operating. We're operating in an old system, a very old, broken system with new people. And yes, the system is dismantling, but not in
Mm-hmm.
a way that is, it's like, where's the
Immediate.
foundation
Exactly.
of the new, right? And so, like I said to you earlier, it would not surprise me if it looked like a lot more women, a lot less men, a lot less children for a time until the men caught up to the women and in just and being able to communicate effectively, intimately. Because
That
at this
part.
point, we don't need men to. fund to house us, to financially, because that was their whole claim. It was like, you need to be with me so I can keep you safe, I can keep you
Mm-hmm.
housed, I can keep you, I can look after and pay for your medical bills, and I can keep food on your table and do the hunting and the guide. You just care for the children, and you're just, it's like that was the only out. That was the only way of life,
Mm-hmm.
literally, unless you were in a tribe. And even within the tribe, the same system, the same hierarchy system. But the women had it was the hierarchy was different. It's like there
The
was
women
still some
led.
collective, and the men did their, it was like, this is you and this is me and this is what we do together. The Western world completely flipped, and we're so
Mm-hmm.
now we're seeing that there's no need for it, and we're not, people are just like, I don't know why this isn't working, because you're not upgrading with the system.
Literally
Women
the
are
card,
liberation,
liberation.
exactly.
You're
We
not
are
liberating
upgrading,
yourself from the past timelines. And if we're
right?
not
Because they're
liberating
comfortable there.
ourselves, it's
They're
like,
comfortable there.
exactly, because the comfort was serving them. Because again, that's how the patriarchy was set up. But it's no different to me with how the patriarchy system is set up to harm men, but they don't realize in the ways in which it's harming men, but then also the same way that racism exists. The people who are participating in the racism don't understand what racism even is. So the
Right.
system is always blind to the people who are participating in it because they need you to be blind to how these systems work so that you too don't rebel against the system.
Because here's the thing, there is only 1% and a few families who always want to have all the power. They don't give two shits if you are white, black, green, or gold. They're going to treat you the same way. And if you talk to people of any persuasion in this United States of America who's living in a ghetto, living in some kind of trailer park, it don't matter what color they are. They're
Hmm.
all being treated the same way because they don't care. And when people, I'm touching on this because you brought up racism. And you're gonna find a lot of those people are like, my homie is black. He live in the same trailer park next to me. We don't do racism. He's like family to me because y'all are in the same situation. What are you talking about? Y'all are weird out here. Like really weird, thinking that somebody
Hmm.
gives two shits about you. All those MAGA people thinking that Trump gives two shits about him and his demented ass. He don't give a shit about you. He cares about you perpetually feeding the cycle of insane, you know, political fuckery, just to surmise it all together, so that he will always stay stat.
Yeah,
Like that this has nothing to do with the color of your skin. This has all to do with, are you actually still thinking that you have something over someone else? That's
hmm,
quite literally
weird.
insane because you own nothing. You
Nothing.
still pay the same bills that we do. You still go to the same grocery store that we do. You still drive the same cars that we do. You still live down the street from us in the same area that we do. There's no difference for real, bro. There's no difference. And all of these systemic um, organizations and ways of thinking have to change. And I do feel like they are. It's just, it's a slow pill because we have
It is.
so many people looking at things through the lens of an old system. So yeah,
Exactly.
you may be doing it differently. You may be feeling like you flexing a little bit and you flossing in a different way, but bro, no, we've been doing it. We've been doing it, and you're really not flexing on nothing because you own nothing. You don't know who you are. You don't even know what you want for real. Because if you got what you want, you probably couldn't sustain it
Hmm.
because you don't know what it would be like to have it. You're not even thinking like
Yeah.
beyond your immediate surroundings. So no, you're not a man. No, you're not a person that I want to be dating.
Yeah.
Do you have any thought beyond having a job, having a car, going to work, and trying to get into some skins here, there, and everywhere. What is your ambition? Are you want to be like a Hollywood star? Are you still there? Anybody remotely interested in any of that shit cannot hold my attention at all. And
Literally.
if you hold my attention for more than 5 minutes, it's out of sympathy. Trust me. I'm trying to figure out how I can help you out of your situation.
Literally, sometimes I do my best. I do my best. Like, but if I'm going out, let's say to a club, to a bar, I'm likely going out because I said that I wanted to hang out with my friends. But I am the person that is in the back of the club that's literally resting bitch face, mean mugging, because I don't really want to talk to anybody. You know what I'm saying? And then when people do come up to talk to me, because I just know that that's not where I'm going to be finding somebody that is in alignment to my frequency and what I'm desiring to attract, right? And that's okay. Like that is
like,
that's
hey,
the place for
that's
some of
fine.
you. You know,
Yeah.
that is absolutely fine for some of y'all. But for me, it's like, what are we doing here? So when there are people that are talking to me, I'm still looking at them like, why are you talking to me? And you better be saying some real shit or this has to end. Because what are we actually doing? I think a lot of people have allowed simple conversations, you know, for I don't know, connection. But for me, like I need somebody with depth, period. I know that wherever I'm meeting this partner, they're probably in the middle of nowhere, probably, I don't know, at a ceremony, you know, with plants and
I mean,
herbs,
listen,
you know?
I have had some really in-depth, great conversations with men at a bar. And it was that,
Same.
and they didn't want my number, and it
And
was cool, and that's fine. But it is the rarity. It
exactly,
was
it
a
is
rarity,
very rare.
and not only that, but we participate in the three-dimensional, fuckery because that's what it's fine.
We get to
We're
do.
human beings. We get to
Yeah.
do that. And it does help ground us and see what's going on. It does. And you just never know. This is an experience I needed to have for whatever reason. So I'm going to have it. As a whole, as a collective group of people, I feel like there are some people who actually really got it. And I'm starting to see them peak out a little bit more, both men and women. And I always used to say to myself, I wonder why I never see Black women who are, superstars, or who are like, billionaires or whatever. They don't ever have a husband, or like even spiritual women. I'm like, how come I don't ever see their counterpart, or they never talk about their counterpart, And I'm always like, is that
Hmm.
not a thing? But what I've come to understand is that all people are not meant to be in a relationship. When we come
Period.
back here, some of our focuses may be just health. So that's what you do. You focus on health. Some people may be focused just on getting money, and that's what they're meant to do because they're breaking spells or whatever, right? And traumas in their family line and whatever. Some people are meant to go through. I know a friend of mine. She's always in a relationship,
Mm.
always, and like just like can't be alone, just needs to be not even validated, but she just wants to love somebody so much, and
She
she does
must
love
have some
herself
seventh
too.
house placements.
And I'm pretty sure she does. Very
She
Pisces,
probably does.
Pisces, Sag, or Fucus in there. Um, and so I understand that because that may be what she's meant here to do,
To
like
do. Yeah.
find her people. So not everybody is meant to focus on that. Not everybody's here to have children. Not everybody's here to be a millionaire. Not everybody's here to have their own business. And I think what where we are right now is that people have this weirdo expectation of themselves that has nothing to do with their true self, because their egos have been inflated by social media, by the person down the street, somebody who's like, hey man, you got that, it's like, hey, one
Hmm.
woman, it only took one woman to give you that pass to make you feel like you is the shit. That didn't come from your mama and them. That came
Nope.
from Sarita and them and
Shorty
Jenny down the street.
at the corner.
Shorty Hot at the corner on the block. was like, hey, Taddy. And you know you could go and call her any time of the week and she'll be ready for you. To her standards. That's not the grand standard of the world. And that shouldn't be like elevate past that. Because I always think to myself, what is it that men actually want? Varying degrees, just like what women actually want. Some women
Mm-hmm.
just want to be alone. Some women want, I guess we'll keep in the context of having a relationship, right? Me personally, I would love to have somebody who is confident about themselves. They are, intelligent. They are, they have they have the intellect and the intelligent capacity to communicate effectively. They have, they're in tune with their feelings. They're
That
emotionally
part.
regulated. They see what I need and don't ask, but just do. They can mimic, you know, what, like, I don't want to say mimic my who I am, because I want somebody who brings something to the table, but there's an understanding that, or a level of comfort, that I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to be anybody else but myself, and they know that they are safe with me all the same.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to say, and there's no swearing, there's no yelling, there's no arguing. It is literally just, it is as it should be. I don't want no man. I've had men compete with me, want to be me, who, in many capacities, and it was just so strange. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know until hindsight, like, oh my gosh, this person actually. Every time I wanted to sing, they were like, "Yeah, I'm about to go, it's just open mic night in blah blah blah." Like, what?
Are you good, bro?
Okay. Oh, okay. Or, I
Weird.
think I'm about to go, traveling, da 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 da. Yeah, next weekend, me and my boys, we're gonna go. Blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, why are we competing? This is so strange.
So strange. Competing in a game that you didn't know you were playing, nor do you have the right pieces for.
And he was a Gemini. I'm gonna say that bag. I found out he was a Gemini today. I thought
He
he was
was
a whole Cancer, and
probably he was
I
probably
ripped
a
off
Taurus though, a Taurus, because that sounds more
June.
like
No,
the
no, no,
person was
June
seeking.
30th.
June 30th is, oh, that is a Gemini. Okay. June 30th is a Gemini. But emotionally, I feel like there must be something though inside of Taurus because it was always like a one up on like status in a way. Because that's what it kind of feels like.
Interesting. Interesting. All I know is that I think what women are asking for is, um, emotional intelligence.
That
They're
part,
asking
literally,
for,
which
yeah, they're
we'll get into
asking for
that.
that first,
Mm-hmm.
they're asking for that first because they're not, and obviously this is not all women, because
No.
clearly there are women who are like, I want your money and maybe some of your pain, and that's it. Majority of women, though, the average woman is looking for emotional intelligence so that she can come home and know that she's safe and feels comforted. Not because she has to talk your ear off, but if she wanted to, you would be there and listen to it because you actually enjoy it. It's not,
Yeah.
you're having a conversation. You're not being talked at. You're not feeling obligated. There's no obligation there. What we know is a low frequency anyway. I don't want you to feel obligated to do shit around me. If you ever feel obligated in my space, you are not meant for me. It has to be genuine, right? And I do think that there's someone for everybody. I do feel like if you actually wanted to meet your person, you could,
Mm-hmm.
or and then we have to also remember, and I'll pass it over to you, but like we also have to remember what relationships are and what they're supposed to do. Relationships are really supposed to speed up your expansion process. They're supposed to mirror you to see where you need your growth and where you can find steadiness, where you can be yourself. It's really for your accelerated expansion, because to do it alone, you can never do it alone. You'd be taking from other different places, even if it was just, here. Um, and so when people stop feeling like, you know, they owe, or they own somebody, like I own you, or I have the rights to you, or you got to do what I say and dress how I want and talk how I want, because if you don't, the way you're talking is, sideways out of your neck. And it's like, because I have an opinion, that's wild crazy.
Wild crazy, because what's the point, some of my very basic standards in a relationship is communication, and I feel as though a lot of people are not capable of having a proper conversation. A lot of the men that I have dated in the past, it's like soon as you are ready to get serious about something, they shut down.
Hmm.
And it's like, here you are claiming that you're a leader and you can't even lead the conversation. A conversation, because a lot of times you just don't want to take accountability either. And I think too, when we're thinking about relationships, there's so many standards that people put on a relationship dynamic, when literally everyone's relationship and their definition of relationship is going to be different, because of the fact that we all have different birth charts. We all have different placements showing up in our seventh house. We all have different placements showing up in our home space, in our intimate houses. Like, all of that is reflective of who we actually get to be. And when we're having all of these rules around what men are supposed to be doing and what women are supposed to be doing, and how men are supposed to act, how women are supposed to act, we're literally losing the plot of our essence. We're losing the plot of who we get to be. We're losing the plot of what we also get to expand together. It's completely
Hmm.
backwards. And I think we as a collective need to stop treating things like that, treating relationships like that, because it is very limiting. It's very limiting. Somebody who has Pisces in the seventh house, they're going to love relationships more than me, who, is fun. But like, what are you really adding? Because I like to be intellectually stimulated. So we could have fun, but like, what else are we actually doing? Somebody who has Aries in their seventh house, they might be like full force, or maybe they have the South Node in Aries in the seventh house, and they're like, actually, I kind of don't want a partnership. I just want to be by myself and have other people serve me. Who knows? Like, it literally depends on what is showing up in people's birth chart for any of this to actually make sense. And I think that is something important to realize, because with all of these different cast members from Love Island, like, I don't have their birth chart placements, but I do have all of their sun signs. And just off the bat, like, what I really loved about Zach and Bryce, for example, no, not Zach. Zach, not the right one. Zach is actually a Libra and he acts like one. But what I really loved about Carl, that man, amazing. And Bryce, is that both of them were actually Gemini men. And mind you, I dated a tropical Cancer man a long time ago, and I was like, I'm never dating one of them again. And that was before pre-astrology days. Before I knew anything about my birth chart, I always felt like, I don't know, because this specific man, he was military, he was in the Marines, he was emotional, but he also experienced a couple of wars. So PTSD was definitely showing up. But then also the way in which he would communicate would be a little weird sometimes. Not even weird. It was just, he wasn't actually dealing with his emotions. And even when I was, trying to hold space for that, he was still denying it. And that would irritate the fuck out of me, because it's like, bro, the thing that you need the most is actually to talk about your experiences being at war. Like, he used to sleep with a gun next to the bed. And I was like, bro, if I'm sleeping in this bed, you got to get rid of that. Because no, absolutely no. Right. But now looking at it from the perspective of actually now being an astrologer, studying astrology and understanding people to the best of my ability and serving people, that PTSD that he had was affecting his health as well. Again, he would deny it. He would deny so many things, but also be very angry. So it was like this buildup. And he had a gut issue. I'm forgetting what it was called in this now moment. But he actually had a gut issue. And with our emotions, if we are keeping our emotions in, it causes cancer. And when that repressed energy is there, like, over the years, I've also had like these epiphanies. When we're thinking about Cancer, Cancer is that same word that is used for the constellation and for disease. And Cancer is all about the emotions. So imagine this, the synchronous tone in which Cancer gets to be, right? It's also related to our womb space. It is related to our family. It's related to being able to birth life into this realm. And a lot of times people don't actually deal with their emotions. They don't deal with the things that are happening. They repress it, they repress it, they repress it until those things start to show up in dis-ease. That's when people start talking about it, but sometimes it could be too late. And what I really valued about both Bryce and Carl is that they were more mature, not just because of their age, but it seemed as though, yes, they actually do have the emotional intelligence. Why? Because they're tropical Cancers and sidereal Geminis. Intelligence, Gemini. I don't care what anybody says. 99% of the Geminis that people think are Geminis are actually Taurus energy. So people don't really know what true Gemini energy is. Emotional intelligence, the ability to be able to communicate and share what is happening internally. And both of these men were always expressive in the way that they actually felt. A lot of times Bryce in these episodes, he was being like the mediator with other people, because maybe somebody said something and then Bryce would be like, well, what I think they're trying to say. Like he was always that person that was like, this is what they mean. Like he was always listening. I feel like Bryce definitely at times was wanting to say something else, but he was also letting them rock, like instead of actually saying something. But that is something that you also get to develop specifically with this Cancer to Gemini energy. Is like a lot of times with Cancer energy, because it is related to the family, people can be taking on the emotions of their family. They could be taking on the emotions of their parents. They could be taking it on for their mother, for their father, all in the with the intention to feel safe. Because some people have had very tumultuous homes where if they've had a parent that is emotionally unwell, maybe rocky sometimes, if that parent is not feeling good in the moment, that child is going to repress and step back from actually sharing what's on their heart, what's on their mind, because they're afraid of what their parents are going to do to them. That is a little scary. And then also not being able to communicate because they're scared. It's just like such a interesting dynamic, in my opinion. And both Bryce and Carl, at least on the show, because obviously we don't know them outside of the show, but they both showed us what emotional intelligence looks like. And that was a beautiful thing, which we've been talking for like an hour. So I want to get into this post that I had posted that has blown
get
up.
into it.
Blown
Girl,
up.
get into it.
Okay. Because there's a lot of like back and forth where some people are like, meh, but like that was literally the point. The point is to address these things. So let me pull up that post and read it. Okay. So I said, Carl Lee Schmidt single-handedly exposed the truth of who men can be but choose not to be. Bryce Alakai single-handedly demonstrated how men can stay loyal in a house full of temptation but choose to indulge. And that's why many men dislike Carl and Bryce. Mind you, I said many, because some people are like, man, not all men. I said many. Reading comprehension while Mercury is in retrograde in Gemini is very beneficial. Okay, so I said, it sounds silly, but Carl and Bryce healed something in many of us women. Their gentle acts of kindness formulated new neural pathways, reminding us women how women can be treated and deserve to be treated. No, we didn't witness their whole journey. We saw enough, though, to trust in better. As an astrologer, seer, healer, and guide, I'm obviously studying people's behaviors critically, witnessing collective patterns and the discourse online, and adding a touch of my own worldly experience. I'm realizing why men like KC and Sincere. because Casey and Sincere are low effort men who won't open doors for women and will play rock, paper, scissors for a spot on the massage table. Carl's bare minimum is respect, compassion, and grace, and Bryce's bare minimum is loyalty, understanding, and connection, which exceeds the capacity of what low effort men are willing to do. There's been so much discourse where people are asking, well, what did Carl do? And when was Casey disrespectful? I'm not sorry. If you have to ask this, we're on two different timelines. We all know darkness does not like to be exposed to the light. Witnessing the rage that people have expressed proves that many men's bare minimum is rooted in misogyny, the patriarchy, and submissive religious dogma. They clearly know this and have gotten away with saying how they protect women while leading with no actions. We all have to realize they are real people who were casted for a TV show which plays up and down their character and personality. Although this is true, no one can hide who they truly are for too long, and no one forced them to say the things that they have said. The masks are off. Everyone had free will to be kind, to be gentle, a liar, a hater, a clam slammer, a prince charmer, a friend, a foe, or a cornball. Be it Love Island or Love is Blind, these shows expose men, expose women, and expose where the collective unconscious still has deep shadows. Whether the couples stay together or not, I send gratitude for their vulnerability and being the faces of the collective shadows and the collective light that reflects our lived reality. Pluto is in Capricorn until 2042. Times are shifting and the patriarchal systems are collapsing. Secure femininity and balanced masculinity is required for the next shift. As women, we have to collectively choose ourselves more than the desire to be chosen and require men to be who they are capable of being to balance the scales. As women, we have to stop pushing the patriarchy and create space and safety for men who do show up like Carl and Bryce. True masculinity isn't force, power, or strength. Healthy masculinity requires the willpower to be gentle, nurturing, giving, receiving, thoughtful, accountable, vulnerable, emotional, sensual, dignified, and principled. There's like 17.9K likes on this, 900 reposts, many shares, 400 comments. And what is interesting is the types of comments that are coming in. Because clearly,
Foremost, bravo, because Vera was very well articulated. Again, just for the viewers, I don't know nothing about this show except from her and my other couple friends that be watching this. Okay, and I think it's very interesting that the whole real world their take on this reality show and how in relation to their own perspective and
perception.
what's perception and what's being shown. And I just want to give you your kudos for articulating the balance in your post, because a lot of people don't read, a lot of people do not absorb the information before they
Mm-hmm.
respond because they're triggered and they
Period.
only want to respond. They're like selective hearing, so they
Yep.
respond to what they think you're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And in all respect, it is what it is. That's what social media does, and that's the time that we live in. But that is also the hindrance to our growth as a collective when it comes to how we're seeing and viewing relationships. Because if you're
Mm-hmm.
not willing to listen to the perspective of a woman saying, "Hey, we need to take ownership as women, and you need to take ownership as and accountability as men. How you're how we're interacting and what our
Mm-hmm.
behaviors are to get to this particular post. You need to go check your shit at the door." And with that, I yield. Because
Yeah, you know,
one other caveat: we're not coming for the necks of men. This is not what this type of live is all about. It's an equal situation here. We can get into the
mm-hmm.
women's situation actor, but just for the caveat, like let's just yeah.
That part, like, and that's the thing. That's why I say things like many men, not all men. That's why I say things where women, we need to be held accountable too, because we've
100%.
quite literally accepted this behavior for a long fucking time
And are perpetuating the behavior because,
and
like I said
perpetuating
earlier,
it.
there are women who are just like, I just want your money. I don't care about nothing else. But it's like, you know what kind of woman is that kind of woman is trash. Why are you opting in to that? That just is a reflection of you and where you are. Is it bad? No, but you
No,
can't complain about it. You can't be out here complaining about
just
it. It's
pick a
talk about all
side.
women this, all women that, all women da 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 da. It's not all women. And we don't talk about all men here. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about the majority of the constructs, right? The patriarchal system, but because we all live in it.
That
And we
part.
can only give our perspective as women.
That part. And you know, it's interesting actually, because I didn't read all these comments. Like I literally cannot read all of the comments, but the ones that actually stay on the screen while it's flipping through. Like right now, I'm reading a comment. It says, "It sounds crazy too, but two Cancer men, Carl and Bryce, versus two Aries men, KC and Sincere, night and day almost," which is interesting because obviously I'm a sidereal astrologer, so I'm looking at it from a different perspective. KC and Sincere are both tropical Aries, but they're sidereal Pisces. And then Bryce and Carl are tropical Cancers, but sidereal Geminis. And that is actually interesting that I even picked those people to be a representation
In
of
the
what we're
post.
talking
Yeah.
about, right?
Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
essentially, if we're looking at this from like the shadow standpoint, Aries shadow sometimes is just doing things for themselves,
Hmm. Very
right?
immature.
But very immature, very much a baby of all of the zodiacs, and very much like me, 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 what I want, what I want. Casey was oftentimes crying about the fact that nobody was behind his door. And still, honestly, when I watch that clip, I'm not going to lie, I do laugh because
It's funny.
that was wild crazy because definitely somebody could have been behind there, but nobody was. And he's been bitching about that throughout the whole season now because he wasn't chosen, he wasn't picked, right? With that type of energy, but then we also have Sincere, who's like, I want to taste the rainbow. He's like, just you know, you can look at a beautiful fish and be like, wow, that's a beautiful fish, put it in the ice box. Then you see another beautiful fish and you could be like, yeah, that's a beautiful fish, and like now you have two fishes. He's not trying to throw any fish back in the ocean. And for somebody to actually be a sidereal Pisces, I think the way that he referenced that is so funny. I don't care what anybody says, you cannot take apart
Can't make that up.
sidereal. You cannot deny sidereal astrology because people quite literally say the things that are on their mind that is so authentic to what their soul is specifically wanting to express. Mind you, Soul was another person that was also on this show, and he was very much into Soul soon as she got there. So it's just like Piscean energy, the two of them, both Casey and Sincere, with tropical Aries to sidereal Pisces being the last zodiac, there is a need for them to actually mature and understand that yes, you get to have all the pieces of your pie, but you have to also have compassion for other people. And I think the way that they showed up on the show was very much in the shadows of their tropical Aries placement. It was very me, myself, and what I want versus I'm here to have compassion for you, with you, and specifically with Pisces, I want to say as you, because it's very much that Piscean energy is like, I see you, I know you, we are the same. We actually do get to live this life together. And then with, yeah, Bryce and Carl, you know, just the way that they showed up, calm, cool, and collected most of the times, having those conversations. And I feel as though a lot of times with the dynamics of what people are talking about in responding with, there's some people that are just like, oh, you're delusional and you need to find God and a therapist. Like, you guys are so parasocial. Trust me, out of all the people
That's
that
funny.
choose to do spiritual work, to heal, to sit in plant medicine ceremonies in the middle of the jungle and cry my eyes out and be throwing up and just willing for something better. Like, watching Love Island was the most human thing I've done in a long fucking time.
That part. That part. I'm trying to tell people like this is a study.
This is
I
literally a
mean,
study. I'm studying for my work.
for that part, because this is also talking about where the collective mind is. Mind you, I told you I had to detach. I had to literally pull out because of whatever I was going through. But this is the collective energy in respect to what they are qualifying as good and bad relationships, good or bad
Exactly.
people. And the age bracket, that's the shocking part to me
Hmm.
because when I was 20 something years old, these conversations were not happening in this way because social media wasn't as active. It was there, but it
Hmm.
wasn't like
Hmm.
we didn't have Love Island. You know what I'm saying? We didn't
Yeah.
have girl. If we had, I would have probably been on Love Island. Do you hear me? I would have been on all these damn shows. Trust me when I tell you, sign me up. But no, it's a very different time. It's kind of like we have to be aware of that because these are the people who are leading the country, making
Hmm.
decisions for people. Like this is how respectfully you're going to be treating elderly people, or I just keep thinking to myself
Which
like, how can you be dealing with your mama in
That part, which is interesting that you bring that up, because some people are like, well, Casey is a nursing assistant and that shows a lot about his character. But it's like, I'm sorry, that is
Not
not
really.
a valid
Not
point, to
really.
be honest, because there's still a lot of Black women that are dying in the hands of nurses and doctors. So, I'm sorry. I respect them and I think that they can be great people, but the statistics, the fact that
I
Black
just
people
say
do not
this.
get care in a lot of these hospitals, we have to vouch for ourselves when we are in these healing spaces. So that's through
So
an indoctrinated program.
him being a nurse's assistant was to show that he actually has care for other people, meaning he can step out of himself and to nurture. And that's fair. That's a fair assessment.
That's a
But it
fair
doesn't always,
assessment.
yeah, but that doesn't always make it true for your personal relationships. Some
Exactly.
people
And for
have a
your private
very,
life.
yeah, it's very easy for people to look to other people to give because they know they're going to get an immediate reaction and self-satisfaction back by doing that particular work. It's always still self-satisfying. It's always still back to what you need, opposed to I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart. I'm not saying that he's not. I don't know the man. And I, that two things can be true at the same time. But when
1,000.
it comes to your personal preference and how you handle your emotions with someone that you claim to care about, I think respectfully that's a very different thing. Because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there are some doctors out here who buried their wives in the backyard. I'm just saying.
That part. Man, know all of the things that they need to do in order to make sure that there is no evidence. So,
Yeah.
holy shit, there's 1,000, beyond 1,000, my bad. Holy shit, there's 1 million views on this thing. So I want to read a couple of the comments,
Million
and
views
also
though.
a million on that post. Really quick
Right
though,
here.
I just remembered what I wanted to say about Carl. So many people are very surprised by the fact that Carl has been giving us like breadcrumbs on his social media, but I'm not surprised by that at all because he's a Gemini, and Gemini like literally invented social media. So of course he's on there and he's posting and people are loving it, right? A lot of people are like, "Oh, I hope he's never PR trained." It's like, no, he is the PR. He doesn't need any training. He knows how to show up. I feel as though when he was on the show, he was very poised, but then also the content that he's been posting, he's been dropping so many F bombs. And you know me, with my Mercury fire placement, I'm absolutely same with you. Like, I love a good F bomb. So the F
I
bombs, I'm here for it. And I pray that he absolutely does not ever get PR trained because that would be silly. Like they're people. Like that's what people are forgetting. Like they're literally just people. So like let them rock. So somebody had commented, I found my Carl last year. He completely changed my life and the way I view healthy and toxic relationships. I'm so thankful for the love, care, and support he gave me and his desire to not control, but watch me grow in what I love. That
Right.
was the best thing that could have happened for me going forward in new relationships. Being treated right can really heal your soul and self respect.
Oh, shit.
Ashe, because truly I love that for her. And it's honestly
Absolutely.
sometimes like sad because it's not common, you
It should
know?
be.
And it should be. It really should be. It shouldn't be like even me, day to day, if I go out and like somebody opens the door for me, somebody offers to like help me with my groceries, like my Uber driver, I bought like a big old water, right? And he asked if I needed help, and I'm pretty sure I might have even said like, "Oh, sure, like to the door is fine." This man brought my water 3 flights up the stairs. I don't even know if Uber drivers are allowed to be up in your crib like that, but like he helped bring that water all the way upstairs, put it outside, and I was
Period.
like, wow, thank you. I made sure I gave him a tip because it to me, at least for me, it has been such a rare experience for men to really show up in their divine masculine energy, which is actually nurturing. When I think about Capricorn specifically, this download came a couple of years ago where we think about Capricorn being very masculine, the patriarchy, all these things, but we have to remember that it is an earth sign. And earth
Yes.
is Mother Earth. That is
Yes.
Pachamama
I don't know
and a
any Capricorn male who's not like, how can
nurturing.
I help you? Yeah. Don't know,
Exactly.
not one of them.
Not a one. So, like, there's a mask that is really in the collective narrative that it's about being strong and powerful and this, that, and the third. And it's like, y'all have it all backwards. Men who are actually taking care of the land are going to be very nurturing. That one, you know, who I'm not even gonna say his name, but
I know.
men who are taking care of the earth, who are nurturing the
So
earth, who are
timely.
planting seeds, who are growing trees, who are using also the resources around them to build. A
Fine.
man that is using their hands, oh, so sexy, like a chef.
Yeah. Oh, yes,
The,
Lord.
the thing about chefs that I find to be so sexy is the way in which they are cutting up these vegetables, very like masculine, right? Very like cooking, stroking that damn wok, like all the things. But then the way that they plate the food is so delicate. Like that to me is balanced masculinity and femininity to a
Yes,
T. To a
absolutely.
T.
You have to be. That's your creative energy. Plating is an art.
It
If
is.
you
It
now
is
you and
an
I,
art.
we love talking about food design and all that, okay?
Period.
Because plating is literally a creative form of art. If
Exactly.
you can plate a fucking hot dog, if you put a hot dog on that plate the right way, I might be 10. Because I at least gotta get a
Look,
lick.
look,
At least I get a lick.
period.
Because yo, it's beautiful.
Girl,
And that is what? That's the feminine energy.
that is a feminine energy. But the way that they chefing it up in the kitchen, bro, I literally went to a $300 meal in Thailand with some friends. And honestly, I did not even have to pay anything more than my drinks because somebody paid for our entire table, even though she wasn't able to make it with us. But best believe I told the chef straight up, I was like, that was a panty dropper. This is like a married man, so I never try to be like that at all. But there was this one dish out of the 20 dishes that came out, and my gosh, good food.
Done. Mhm. Also, I wanted to comment on piggyback on what you said about when men open the door for you and they're being, chivalrous. And I'm the complete opposite. I expect it. And if you don't do it, I call you on it. I do. And I'll say, "Oh, let me get that for you, sir. Excuse me. I guess I'm in the way." I make a big fucking
Oh, I
deal.
will.
I
I will
do.
be. I do say something. I do say something, but I
I expect it.
honestly,
I expect that.
I don't
Like
expect it. I
I,
don't
I
expect it, and that's
absolutely
sad.
do. It's blatant because that's the we. I absolutely do. I don't know what it is. I don't, and I make it very clear that you're rude. And sometimes they're like, "Well, that was fucking rude."
Yeah, I definitely
Because
excuse you.
there are
I'm
people.
quick with that.
Oh, click with it. And, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. And
See,
I
you
do.
say
I
thank
genuinely
you.
do
I say
appreciate
no,
it.
you're not.
Oh yeah. Oh no,
I say
I
no, you're
say thank
not.
you. Yeah, like, oh, you caught on. Okay, you're easy learn. Appreciate it. Because to be honest with you, I always, maybe it's because I'm a mother now, but I'd be like, would you do that for your mom and them? Would you open the door for your girlfriend and them? I'm is the same. We share the same
Hmm.
parts. I may not look like them, but I'm is them. I'm a representative. I tell my
Yeah,
son that all the time. All women are representing me, even if the fucking gnarly ones. Be
and some
kind,
cultures is
because
like that. Hmm.
yeah, be kind. Do the right thing because the right thing will always be done back to you.
Yeah,
And whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, that's my life. My son will be corrected at some point. But I do feel like we should be expecting that, and that's part of the problem is that women, our expectations are like their worthiness. There, you listen, second house all day. It's
worthiness.
really about right whether or do you feel worthy enough to have somebody be kind to you, a
Hmm.
stranger. Now, the level of expectation can be very unrealistic for many people because this is a stranger. He's obligated to do nothing.
Yeah.
However, I do correct it because it's a behavior that needs correction. That's
Hmm.
like even if I was like when I take a lot of Ubers because I don't have a car. And when an Uber driver does not try see me with all these bags and they're not popping the trunk, getting their asses out the car,
Bro.
excuse me, sir, can you help me with these bags, please?
Yeah, because like,
Like,
why are you still in your car, and why am I
I
struggling to
got
get
you
into your
watching
car?
me do it.
Exactly. Like you're watching me.
Watching me. Literally. Are you okay? No. Can you help? It's
Yeah.
weird. It's very weird. It's
Yeah.
not that I can't. It's again the principle. If you're wanting me to respect you as the man,
Hmm.
you're putting in can I do it on my own? Absolutely. Is it kind to do? Absolutely. Are you obligated? No, you're not. But
Hmm.
if you want me to give you the respect as a gentleman, I do expect you to do that. Because now I don't respect you as a gentleman. You're just another male,
You're
which is
just
fine.
another
We,
man.
we, we may not ever mix match again, and that's okay. I don't hate you. I'm not going to talk about you in a
Hmm.
negative light, but I am going to point out, hey, you could do better. And I don't think that it should be any different for women. I think women need to be called all the way out
Period.
when
And
it's
do.
appropriate.
Yeah.
When it's appropriate. And not from a guy who's doing the disservice and the injustice to women. I'm talking about a man who actually got his shit together, who knows how to be kind and wants to be respected equally. Like, hey, sis, look, it ain't all about that. There was a time when there were males in our lives who would step us aside, especially knowing that you don't got no father, and be like, listen, I want to tell you something. When these boys out here do this and the third, they're not saying that's not them saying that they love you. That's not love.
Exactly. Hmm.
Like we don't,
It,
well, who we doing that? Pookie and them?
it,
Pookie and them?
no, and that's the problem. I often say a lot of times with that's one of the biggest issues I actually have sometimes with male dynamics because there have been times, especially let's go back to when I was in Bali, and there would be men that were interested in me, but I wasn't really interested
Right.
in them. And then their boy would also be trying to defend their friend, and they would get into arguments and debates. And these men would be, I mean, literally with let's say five, six of my friends were all beautiful. They would literally be trying to hit on every single one of us in a group dynamic. But then when shit actually does hit the fan, when something happens, somebody does something to somebody else, there's not enough men that are actually saying something to their boys. They're always like, "Oh, well, he doesn't treat me like that. Oh, he's never done that to me," because you're a fucking dude. Of course not. And the fact
One,
that you allow that to continue to happen just because it hasn't happened to you, that's like the cop saying, "Well, we didn't see it happen, so it must not be true." That's like somebody getting raped and then somebody saying, "Well, I wasn't there, so like, can we really believe you?" Like, what kind of consciousness is allowing that type of dynamic to be at the forefront? Like, not enough men are saying something to their boys, and that's the fucking issue.
it's
It's
one
an
of the
issue.
issues for sure.
It's one
It
of the
is, yeah,
issues to me, because
yeah.
that is perpetuating these different dynamics, because you're not seeing it as something that that boy really should not be doing. You're kind of validating it. It's like locker room speak, right? Where the boys are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, he's just the boy. Oh, he's just this. Oh, no, nah, we have to do better." And a lot of times I feel as though, even watching back some of the episode of, like, After Sun, seeing the clips where, now Carl has been voted off, and all of the boys who have been voted off go back to a different villa, whatever, to just like talk or whatever. And
Yeah.
while they were in there, there was one of the guys that was immediately bringing up Trinity, wanting to say something about her and like some of the other girls and how they were debating and whatnot. But it was Carl that was actually like, "No, but we can't, they're actually sticking up for their friend, and we can't vilify them for any of that." And he even mentioned it was KC. Like, we have to hold the men accountable, and not enough men actually step up to hold each other accountable. And I think that
Mm.
I don't know, the men need to do better about that, because that's why, generally speaking, we don't feel safe walking at night. Like, just because it was one dude doesn't mean it's all of you, but there's enough of you for it to be a fucking pattern that we all experience all around the world. All around the
Yeah,
world.
society, our Western society says men, we don't rear our men and our boys who become men to deal with their emotions at all. And a lot of their trauma starts from their mama.
Exactly.
And so
1000.
that's where there's dual accountability, right? Because they learned it from somewhere. Yes, society, yes, other friends, right? So,
Mhm.
but there does have to be accountability for the home and the mother. Now,
Mhm.
there's two ways to look at this too. I don't think, well, I can't say that. I think the majority of women, or most women, I'll say, want to do good. They want to have sons that they would want to date themselves. I know that sounds kind of weird, but
Mhm.
it's like they want to produce quality men that can hold their own and have beautiful relationships with women that they want to spend the rest of their life with and be chosen, right?
Mhm.
And whether or not the parent, the mother, is able to do that, that's one thing. Whether they're if they're putting their good foot forward, that's another thing. Whether it happens, that's another thing.
Mhm.
Because ultimately, as we know, spiritually speaking, everybody has their own path. You can have the greatest mother on the planet. You can have come from a two-family home with money in the suburbs, and a cousin in them that lives in the ghetto. So you was doing both. You're
Mhm.
flexible. You still could be an asshole because that's your choice. That's your choosing. You're for whatever other reason. It doesn't have to be rearing, but I do think that we
Mhm.
all have to be there's some accountability there because I feel like a lot of people may think, oh well, where did he get it from? Where is he learning it from? There's many places that he could be learning it from, and also he could just be choosing because of wherever his placements are. That could be a hardship for him that he has to learn you
Mhm.
know but I do feel like even for myself I try my very best to show it for my son the best way I know how. It may not be the best way. It's the only way that I
Mhm.
know how until I know more, right? And also trying to give him a fair assessment or fair not assessment but a fair um, point of view from other men who may not be his father
Exactly.
to show up and to be like a role model. Like, hey, this is
Mm-hmm.
also a possibility. At the end of the day, when he becomes of age and he has a full understanding of self, he will then have to take accountability,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what I told him and what I showed him. And I think that can be a little misconstrued at times. It's like, well, who can we blame here for Casey's, for example, his way of thinking about women?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Who can we blame?
oftentimes it can be the mother. Often,
In most, yeah,
the same way that most of these racist ass people, they were raised by their moms and their dads, and the moms were the ones back in the day sewing the uniform, the KKK uniform for these men before they went and colonized and destroyed and created disharmony for the world. So there's so many different layers to it.
also have a
Here,
shitty father
exactly. A shitty
and
father or no father.
or no father.
There's so many layers, because if
Exactly.
you don't have those male roles, those role model males in your life, sometimes, yeah, these men don't actually know. And even thinking about like how I grew up, a lot of times the way that my mother treated my little brother in comparison to how we were treated, night and day. My little brother had damn near prince treatment. Everything he wanted, he would always get. My little brother had my dad on speed dial. He knew exactly what time he was getting out of work, and he would immediately be asking for dad to bring him something home, and he would get it. He would get it, but that's because he knew he was worthy of it. And same with my sister. Let's be real. This other comment here. Here's out of the 400 comments. One of them is saying, so true. The men that are mad are calling people gay as a slur, are upset to see what women really want in a man, and they are just exposing themselves.
Period. And that's
Crazy.
it's crazy if like a woman. This is a post that I saw the other day. It was like if a woman is drunk, she's like she's ostracized or she's trash. And if a man is drunk, it's like, oh man, he was just drunk, you know. And
Mm.
if like if a woman had a lot of uh was promiscuous or whatever, it's like, oh, she's a whore, she's trash. And if a man did it, it's like, oh, he's just trying to find the right one. So men are always excused for their behavior, and women are always ostracized for being a woman, no matter
Yeah.
what we do. Even if it was in a good light, we still would never live up to the expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like if you to downplay a woman would be she's promiscuous, and to insult a man you would call him gay. So the end result is anybody sleeping with men is a shitty person. You know what I'm saying? It's like men are always going to be the issue. Men make men the issue, and men make women the issue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah. And it's just weird. It's unfortunate that they are still using gayness as like a slur, in my opinion. And also, like, you brought up a good point with how there's double standards, because there was absolutely the clam slammer Kenzie on the series. Like, she was somebody who literally, in my personal opinion, like, was giving sincere energy. And like, yes, this is a TV show that is supposed to be exploring, right? But people weren't treating Kenzie the same way that they were treating Sincere. Kenzie, in a way, it's like, I think the thing with Kenzie specifically was the fact that she too would tell somebody like, "Oh, I'm really interested in you," but then go kissing somebody else. That's exactly what Sincere did. Do I think that it was wrong that she was bouncing around? No, because
It's
that
not
would be
part of the
literally a
show.
double, huh?
It's not part of the show, from what I understand. Like
Yeah, they're
you're
supposed to
meant to
be
like
like
date everybody
finding
or
their,
something.
yeah, they're supposed to be finding their partner, but at the same time, what Kenzie specifically was doing would be telling somebody, I'm really interested in you. Like, I want to get to know you. I want to bring you home to my family, all this stuff. But at the same time, minutes later, be kissing somebody else. Minutes later, be sneaking around and, trying not to sever the relationship. She was another person that was wanting to have her cake and eat it too. And it's like, cool, go and do that. But I think we need to be not treating, because we don't need to be treating any of these people any type of way. I think it's very weird how people are like sending death threats and shit and like just crazy,
What?
crazy, crazy stuff over this cast. It's very weird. This part of the parasocial dynamic is, I don't fucking get it. But people are literally like taking specific standards and only addressing it on one side versus the other side. A lot of people were also like, what was it with Sincere? Like with Sincere, he was literally saying that sometimes he doesn't tell the whole truth. He like withholds some of the truth, right? And even the girls had gotten on Kenzie in after like this movie night, because Kenzie was like, she was doing a lot of those same things, but they all, specifically, it was like the Black girls that sat down with Kenzie to have a talk with her, to be like, sis, like, what are you doing?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And the same conversation, I think, could have been happening with the boys, where it's like, yo, bro, like, what are you doing? You're saying this and then you're doing that. And it's like, we just need to hold everybody accountable for what actions they are expressing in some ways, especially on these specific dynamics. And with this whole Casey Sincere thing, literally for their last date with Melanie and Sincere, there's a massage table and he's playing rock, paper, scissors to get on the massage table with Melanie. To me, this is where that male dynamic is just rock, paper, scissors, no need.
To get on the massage thing?
To see
Like,
whether they played rock, paper, scissors for either Melanie to get the massage from Sincere, or for Sincere to get a massage from Melanie.
as like a gate, like does
No, they
he?
didn't have to do that. He wanted the massage. Instead of offering, like, I'm going to give you a massage because I love you, I love your body, and I want to touch you. Rock, paper, scissors on their date. So to me, it's like,
I don't think I've ever been in a situation where, if given the opportunity, a man would lay his ass on the table instead of me on the table to touch me. Do you understand what I'm saying?
oh,
Is
absolutely.
like,
That was a thing actually for me in high school, because my first boyfriend used to want massages and I would give it to him and then he would fucking fall asleep and then I would not get a massage. So moving forward, no joke. When
yeah,
we're talking about
no.
worthiness, clearly I did not feel worthy back then, because after I learned those lessons with him always going to sleep, like, in the next relationship, if there was ever a time like, we need to exchange massages, I was getting my massage first. Because the other thing is,
And then I would fall asleep. See you
exactly,
tomorrow.
tuck me in,
Suck me in. Thank you. Good night.
because like, what are we doing? I just feel like these men in general are just they want
Oh,
princess, they want to be princess passengers in this lifetime, and it's like, we no, we can't be like that anymore,
I do feel like, unfortunately, there is an imbalance, and a lot of women are, have ungrounded masculine energy, and there are men who have ungrounded, feminine energy. And
Hmm.
it's causing this really like a futile, discussion about roles, which is very strange. I feel like if you see a dish in the sink and you don't like dishes in the sink, wash the dish.
That part,
That's really.
because why
Do
are
you
you
like
waiting
a
on
clean
me?
house? Just clean it. If you like to have a clean home, you should clean your home. If you like good smelling laundry, you should do laundry. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
and that doesn't mean that at some point I wouldn't do all the dishes. I'm naturally inclined to do dishes anyway because I just like being by water. It's meditative for me. But to feel like I'm obligated is so unattractive.
Yeah.
I want my man to be like, you don't ever have to lay hands on a dish if you don't want to. That's a choice.
Yeah.
If you want me to hire someone to clean your dishes, babe, I will do that. Or if you want me to do it when I'm not busy, I will do that. But
Mm-hmm.
don't ever feel obligated. Like, and just again, I don't like dishes in the sink. So 10 times out of 10, I'm going to wash what's in the sink. But I would love to have the option to not have to.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm trying to find another one of those comments that really stood out to me, based on whatever these reflections are. But let me go back, because some of the people that have things to say are specifically Black men, and I find it, let's say, curious in their responses. Um,
They are they negative responses or are they positive responses?
some of them. So, like this one. Forget Casey and Sincere. I'm just saying that there's a narrative being pushed on our Black women. The optics prove it. 4 Black women in the finals and 3 white men as their heroes, and Sincere still around to remind the world who the villain is. I'm just saying we have to open up our eyes. Men like Malcolm X show women and men what a leader of a family should be, not some lustful game contestants.
You're in the wrong comment section, sir. This has, first of all, contextually speaking, this is a game show. Number two, he was not the pinnacle of successful marital bliss.
Relationships. Malcolm
What
X.
in the holy hell are we really talking about? Again, let's talk about the time period. Did she have an option? And not only that, she was under a religious doctrine. So you're already basing your theory on people who do not believe in equality for women. If you are following any religious doctrine, you do not believe that women should have equal rights. Period. I don't give
Period.
a fuck
Period.
what religion it is. That one in particular, been there, done that. Oppression. Okay.
Period.
So are you basing that individual basing any? First of all, it's a TV show. Chill out. Secondly, Malcolm X is not the pinnacle of successful relationships, and having any colored bias towards this particular TV show is very strange to me because, from my understanding, there were Black women, Black men, Asian men. I don't know if there were any Asian women, but
White
Black men, white women. Like there was a full spread
range. Mm-hmm.
of people, and I don't think that's the premise of the TV show. I could see if it was like, oh, this is a Black TV show, and a white man came in
Mm-hmm.
and conquered the Black woman. That's not, or vice versa. This wasn't that. This wasn't that kind of platform. And not
Yeah.
only that, it's just very telling about where these Black men on this show were. Again, the emotional intelligence level, not there.
Not there.
And based on what you've described as the characteristics of Carl and the
Bryce.
other guy, Bryce, lends itself to more emotional intelligence readily available and seen on TV because they could be monsters at home. We don't know that.
We don't know that.
But what they've shown on their face on TV, whether they were selected for this or not, that's what they were showing. And that's all we're really going off of, and that's all we can go off of. But
Exactly.
I can say that I have seen and have personal lived experience from is that the majority of men, like I said before, want to have women from the 50s in 2026.
We're not
And
doing that.
women have no option because the men we're looking for don't exist or are extremely rare.
And that's
1%,
and
0.01%.
and that's the point, is like the rarity of how they showed up was an example of what women have been missing for a very long time. Like that's the point. It's like it's rare to actually see a good guy in any of these TV shows that is
Right,
relating to dating. Like
right, right.
that's the unfortunate part. And then for it to be a narrative of like, oh, they're spinning it for like the black women and making the black men or whomever look bad. It's like, again, no one was forced to say the things that they said. No one was forced to act in the way that they were acting. It's like it's cookie cutter sometimes, the way
She
in
choose.
which, like some of the men, the way that they acted is most likely kind of what we expected, just generally speaking. In a group dynamic, I know exactly who I'd be going after or who I would be expecting coming after me versus who would not be. And Casey would be like one of the cornballs that I would see in the Bali streets that are trying to holler, but also trying to holler at all the other friends that are right there because they just want to be chosen or be hooked up with somebody. It didn't matter who, long as it was a beautiful woman, that's all that they would care about. And that's the unfortunate thing. Sometimes I expect men, it doesn't matter what race, what I would expect men to be acting in a certain way sometimes, depending, because they're very simple. Men are simple. They're simple. And I think if sincere was actually sincere, it'd be different. But he wasn't sincere. He's like, I want to be able to try this ice cream and that ice cream, this fish and that
Sounds
fish.
like
And it's like, okay, Dr. Seuss, go be Dr. Seuss, but at least be honest.
sounds like he was playing the game to his
Exactly.
advantage because the game is
But he
kind
was
of like,
lying. That's the point. It's just that he was
oh,
lying.
okay,
That was
okay,
the issue, is that he would say, oh, I'm only interested in you, but then be kissing up on Soul for an hour and a half.
yeah, sounds like a cornball.
Sounds
Um,
insincere, like somebody else said, yeah, and a lot of people hate white people. Some people crying. Maybe I need, somebody said, maybe I need a white man. And like, that's the thing. It's not that you need a white man. We just need men to
just
do
need
better.
somebody to show. And again, this could be cultural differences, how they were raised. It could be, and also, again, it really does come down to your emotional intelligence. I gotta keep saying that shit because if you cannot, oh, and really just being authentic. What
That
if you
part.
know what you want, then you're gonna go get it, right? And again, I think there's an age does for me, age does have is very telling of where you are. It doesn't excuse anyone's behavior, but it definitely warrants for a perspective of that space. Like not all 20 something year olds think, especially males, they don't always have the tendency to think, more progressively when it comes to, you know,
Their prefrontal lobe is not
they're
even fully developed.
not even. And they're just making it. They're on the cusps at 25. So it's all relative, right? It's all relative.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't excuse it, but it's kind of like this is why this behavior would be happening for someone like this for this person, opposed to
Yeah.
why it would have happened to somebody who was a little bit older. Because listen, age does not mean wisdom, And so that narrative doesn't speak to life either. But it's like if you have enough lived with experience and you have done your work and you know what you want and you know how to provide and you're kind and all that stuff, then you're going to treat the people in front of you the way you want to be treated.
Exactly. And that's on
And
period, you
not
know.
patriarchy
This
bullshit.
that part. This other guy, he said, "We didn't watch the same Love Island and that's okay. Women constantly coming on social media to berate men. We don't even know these people in real life and how they have real conversations. And y'all over here talking about how it's this and that. Like your word is the word. You watched all of this and said you watch behaviors closely and failed to acknowledge the women behavior in this show. Disingenuous and disgusting."
So right, this is like I was saying earlier. This has nothing to do with women not taking accountability. And I
Exactly.
think when people actually read your post, I I didn't see where you did not suggest that women needed to be accountable as well. I thought you were very inclusionary when it came down to both parties involved need.
In this
And even the
dynamic.
entire live, like this is not excluding women.
It's not, because literally we
At
are,
the
the patriarchy started with the men. Then women perpetuate the patriarchy because that's what they have
They
been
do,
used to doing
and comfortable with it, and love it,
and love it
and will love
because
it
they're pick
down more
me's
than men.
sometimes. Exactly.
I've
Love them
been
down.
there. I know what it is like because I've literally been there. You could not tell, man, I would curse a woman out in a heartbeat. Like, you don't know nothing about men. That's why you lonely and da da da. And meanwhile, I'm
I'm
miserable.
TT.
Okay? Miserable. Thinking I'm living the best life because my man rubs my feet every night. Because my man will give me opens my doors. Because my man don't let me bring the packages in. So two things can be true at the same time. I can
Mm-hmm.
have all of those niceties and the things that I expect, but did I feel, was I still treated like less than? 1,000%. 1,000%. There
Mm-hmm.
was still mental and verbal abuse daily, and the list goes on. But the point I'm making is this has nothing to do with women not taking accountability. I took accountability and got the fuck out of that relationship.
Yeah.
I'm not here man bashing because that's silly. I created one, number one, and I happen to love men a lot. And I want for a understanding and a
Yeah.
level of respect and equality. Why wouldn't I? I'm a woman. Like it's like if you speak up to one thing, they find a way to put flip it and make it like
Exactly. That's
you're the
narc
reason for it.
behavior, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
and then
Narc,
yeah, they'll
you
even
know?
they'll bring out the Bible too. Like,
Yeah,
that's
in the Bible says, I'm sorry, we're done. Conversation closed.
conversation is closed.
You
But
know,
we
because
can no longer talk.
exactly, because we're not
It's
having the
not
same
man
conversation.
bashing. And if you're, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like we can't have the same conversation if your standards are the Bible that was built on the patriarchy and making sure that men rule or control women and other people.
Yep. And if you're triggered by any of that comment, or the post it at all, it's because you still hate women. I don't care what to say. You still hate yourself
Exactly.
and you still hate women. The majority of men are out. I don't say the majority, but there's a lot of men who really hate women. They won't ever admit that,
Exactly.
but like you would rather treat your dog better than you would treat your relationship. That is very telling.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm so glad you brought that up because I actually feel as though I kind of lost a friend to something similar to this, where it's like we were watching a racing game and there was a guy who essentially has a pet, a dog, And I was asking, oh, do they have like a partner? And they're like, no, they just have a dog because they focus on their racing. And at the end of the race, he basically lost. And I was like, well, at least he has his dog. And then my friend's partner was like, you just emasculated his whole entire career. And it's like, what are you talking about? I'm just saying, at least he has his dog. Because a lot of times in that whole conversation was kind of where I was like, it's interesting that guys will prefer to have a pet versus having a partner. And they will give that pet so much love. And then the friend and the partner were saying, well, that's because women aren't capable of loving unconditionally like a dog. And like, I'm sorry, I don't believe that either. But I also feel as though in order for people to be in a relationship, you do have to have some vulnerability. And I think too many times people are afraid of being vulnerable in a relationship in order for somebody to truly have the opportunity to show up and love you unconditionally. And also to love anybody conditionally or unconditionally is still with conditions. So either you love people or you don't love people. But to say that specific thing, you know, a lot of times I would even represent I would watch how men would treat their pets and then also treat me or treat other people, where it's like I can see that men have the capability of being nurturing and of being caring, of
Oh,
being
yes.
giving and doing all these things. And I watch them specifically through their pet doing these things, where when people are like, oh, men just don't do that. No, no, because watch how they are with their pet. Watch how
Mhm.
they are. They show up for that pet. They make sure that pet is fed. They make sure that pet is walked. They make sure that that pet is cared for, completely
Yeah.
protected. So to say that men just don't naturally have the caring capabilities is a
Of course they
facade.
do.
And I
There are
think people
single
have,
fathers.
yeah, there's single fathers, and there's been so many people that have shown up in a way that's very caring and giving. But it's unfortunate that sometimes women don't naturally see that for a relationship. Hi, Shamik.
Hi, Shaman.
Welcome. How are you? Let me get these cards off the floor. It's really unfortunate how sometimes we only see men being represented in a certain way because they're taking care of something else. And I think that is simply because they're afraid of opening up to women in the way that they can. And
Vulnerable.
also the women, because of the patriarchy, talking about accountability, women are not creating safe spaces for men to actually be vulnerable. That's the issue.
Not at all. Not at all. Because we're also told as women that a man is supposed to provide for you. They're not supposed to cry. And if they show too much emotion, then they're bitches and they can't you don't want to be with that. It's like we are told that a man is supposed to look a certain way, do a certain thing, and if they don't, then they're not man quality. And so we berate them and make them feel
Less than.
less than period, right? And then talk smack when we get to a certain man who has all these qualities and he's beating her every night. It's like, well, you got your machismo man, didn't you? You got
Exactly.
your
You
man
got
who's
what you
paying your
wanted,
bills, right?
you
You got
know?
exactly what you wanted. He has no feelings about anything. He just
Mm-hmm.
wants you to to
Facts.
be what you're supposed to be in the kitchen or just humping me every day when I
Exactly.
want it, and don't say nothing else. I got you that bag you
I
wear, right? So do what I said. I got you some shoes you wear, right? I'm paying your car note every month, ain't I?
yeah, and
You that's
that
what
is
y'all want. That's
yeah.
crazy.
And
It's
that's like
crazy.
essentially dangling a carrot over somebody's head as part of the relationship dynamic is really unfortunate. And also there was something I wanted to say in relation to where women need to be held accountable too is that within the patriarchy, men first told each other that they cannot cry, but then also women perpetuate the same fucking thing. It's like when a man cries, oh, he's a simp, oh, he's this is that. And
Yep.
it's just like, oh my gosh, like
Too
you
nice.
you are literally the problem. Men
I don't
get to
think a
have
nice guy.
emotions too. and a lot of men have these emotions, but sometimes because they have been told that they are not allowed to cry, they end up expressing their emotions with rage, with anger, with force, with
Yep.
so which side do you want? Do you want a man that's actually nurturing, or do you want a man that's going to express his anger by physically
Or his
hurting somebody?
emotions physically. Or and it doesn't even have to be you them hitting you. He could be one of those, you ever see one of those guys that's like ready to fight no matter where they go, so they're always in jail or they're always getting caught up.
Marines. I'm just saying the Marines that I was living with, that partner and his brother and the other Marine, like the other one was, he was pretty chill. But at any given moment, some of these people going out to the club or to the bar was crazy because they literally walk around like you owe me in a way because I fought for the country, so you should respect me.
Yes,
And it was like,
yes.
whoa, like this is fucking scary. I don't know about y'all, but like I also come from a military family, so I understand the respect, but y'all are ready to fight. And mind you, at that time, the dude that I was dating wanted to also be a cop. And you know how I feel about cops, like absolutely not. Because y'all have an issue with everybody and you prefer to be a bully. But at the same time, I do want to allow you to cry. Like the amount of men that I have guided through relationship dynamics that have cried in front of me, they have always said like
Yes,
you are a safe space, and I don't even necessarily care for them to have to say that. It should just be willed. Women should
yes.
just be able to hold space for man. If a man is not capable of opening up and being vulnerable, it's because you are not a safe space. It's not something that you have to say either. I'm not ever going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm a safe space for men. That's just what men have told me because I'm not judging them. I'm holding them in the space that they need to be in because I think that too often part of the issues in this world is because men have been told they're not allowed to cry, and that emotion it is a cancer. It's a cancer. It creates
I
cancer.
agree.
And it's unfortunate because yeah, that's why sometimes they express it in such a different dynamic than what we do. For when men say, oh, she's too emotional. Matter of fact, Casey in the After Sun said that Anaya was very fragile. And the first thing that went through my mind is like, one, that is narcissistic coding to call a female fragile. But then also, if you're a nurse assistant, are you calling your patients fragile? Because what's the difference? Somebody who's actually just got emotions, but mind you, she opened up like a fucking flower with Carl. Casey
That
was
right
calling her a
there.
grandma. Casey was calling her
Right,
a grandma.
right.
But if the
Yes.
masculine is not also holding space for a female to feel safe enough to open up, sure, they're a grandma.
One
Are you
thousand percent. 1000%. A masculine, I want to say that, but a male or man who is balanced, understood, will make you do anything without even asking
that
because
part?
we naturally fall in line. And this is where the Bible thumpers be like, you're supposed to obey, blah blah blah, and submit. We do that naturally. We don't need a scripture. We don't need to be told. It is if you are in your if you bring that out in us, I'll just say that, then you are going to get that and above. Because now I'm looking for other people for us. Okay. Oh,
That
what you
part.
like? What do you want? I'm yours forever. If you make me melt, for sure. But if you're making me feel like something's wrong with me and I'm only good for one
Exactly.
thing, feeding you and humping you, that's very, it's so clear too. It's like,
Yeah. And it
it
was
wasn't
clear.
clear.
It was clear
Yeah,
with KC in the way that he was communicating sometimes with Naya, where, bro, like, bro, if you call me bro, you don't fucking like me, bro. Like, are we playing basketball? Are we hooping or what? You know,
yeah, that's
I've
kind of
even
tough.
had one of my best friends at the time, my best friends, like, we I'll just keep it at that. But one time he called me bro and like, oh, you like my, are you serious? Oh, you like one of
And
the
you call me
fellas? Are
bro?
you, you're calling
It,
me bro? Like that pissed me
immediate.
all the way off, like all the way off. Cause it's like, it's just disrespectful.
Completely. That's how you know they don't like you. You will know if a male is genuine. I shouldn't keep on the male because that's where
I know,
let me
yeah,
stop.
because the
I'm
same thing when
terrible.
people be
It's
like,
like
"Oh, the males, the men be calling women females instead of calling them women," and like that is very coded in a way too. But
it is because if you know the words, what they actually mean, male and female are literally expressively for speaking about animals. Men and
exactly,
women are for us. So and it's just like um. So I don't mean to disrespect any men, but I will say, well, not but, and also you can tell if a man has interest in you, genuine interest in you, because he's going to show it through his actions and not his words. And
that part.
it's not you don't even have to do much except show him your interest by being yourself authentically. One of my faults that I had back then was to create this entirely different version of myself in order to fit the need of this person I thought I liked.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being my complete authentic self and having him decide if he liked me back. Because I couldn't deal with the thought of, and I'm just coming off, what's happening, what I'm thinking about now is like, it's probably because I couldn't deal with maybe abandonment or rejection, even, so I did what I thought I needed to do, like pivot a little bit. It wasn't anything like outrageous because it
Yeah.
was me, but it was a mask of me. It wasn't me completely. I don't like doing dishes and cooking and cleaning every second of the day. I don't. I'm not so me coming into your space, cooking and cleaning and being, oh yeah, baby, and doing that. I'm telling you that I like doing these things. You understand what I'm saying? And instead of being like letting it show for itself, like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I cooked us a meal. Would you like some? Would you like whatever? And that be that. And if there's a dish in the sink, like we ain't gotta talk about it.
Because again, if
This is not
there
my
are
house.
men, yeah, that part. Like again, if men want a relationship, then have a relationship. If you want a mommy girlfriend, I think it's time for you to start learning how to take care of your own needs because that is just simply not where we're at anymore. That's very old in the past thinking. We are
Yes.
not maids. We are here in a union. A union, if we're thinking about relationships through the seventh house, through Libra, through any of that energy, it is about a unionship. It is not about one person doing something and somebody else is doing this. There has to be balance, Libra, balance, harmony. There needs to be an agreement, also seventh house, Libra energy. There needs to be an agreement in what that relationship dynamic gets to be. It really should never be based on what society is saying in relationships and partnerships ever. Because for me, for example, based on my specific placements, this motherfucker, whoever is coming into my life, we are traveling, period. If we're not traveling, I'm sorry, that's not a relationship. Somebody else who has Pisces in the seventh house is like, I just want to be in love. Like we get to expand, we are limitless together.
Like that's it.
Okay. Like there's people that get to show up in different ways. Somebody who has Gemini in the seventh house, their relationship is based on communication. We have to be
That's so
paying
sad.
attention to what these relationship unionships get to look like based on our own birth chart. And I think a lot of people are
Yes.
constantly looking at the dynamics of what we see on TV and again, judging it from past dynamics that was literally forced upon society. It was forced upon women to be a
Matchmaker,
certain way.
matchmaker.
It was forced on men to be a certain way.
Yes, absolutely, 1000%. This is also why there's two things. We had matchmakers, and they did what you do. They looked at the chart and they said, this person would be better suited for your daughter than this person to carry on the family lineage. They would have better, interaction. And that's what they still do in many other countries. I also was trying to bring up the fact that we're talking about, for the viewers, we are talking about the Western culture. Because if you go to any other culture outside of the Western United States, women are culturally raised to hand foot their men and
Mm-hmm.
pacify their men. However, the man also like idolizes the woman. They give homage to the woman. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not like she's doing this and she doesn't want to. She's doing this because she knows that the man she does it for is gonna love her down and do all the
Period.
things. It's not taking away from who she is. She can still speak her mind. She can still travel with her besties. She can still do whatever she wants to, have a career, have children if she wants to or not. And it's fine. So there's a lot of people, black men and I don't know about the black. I know black men talk about how, well, we black women don't want to cook and clean, and they're this, that, and the third, and we go to other cultures and we date other women because they understand the needs of a man, because that's how they were raised, and blah blah. Black women are not ancient because they don't
Mm-hmm.
cater to us and they don't want to do that. It's like, um, I'm pretty sure that your mother, listening to you talk this hot mess, would smack you across your face.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure of that. Because if she was married to your father happily, you wouldn't have even witnessed that. It wouldn't have been an obligation. It would have
Exactly.
been, you would know how to treat your woman so that she would do it naturally and submit because that's what she's inclined to do. And you also wouldn't be coming from a selfish place telling her that's her role. You too would be washing these dirty ass clothes, or you would be hiring someone to do it. You will be
Mm-hmm.
hiring a maid. You will be hiring somebody. You will be taking your laundry to the cleaners and picking it up. She wouldn't be meant to be your maid and your babysitter and your chef and your all this and everything. She's just supposed to be your woman. She's
Mm-hmm.
just supposed to be somebody that holds space for you and for our shoulders to cry on to help you. Let's collab and build empire together. But a lot of people bring that up where it's like, oh, a lot of men are just like, oh, the black woman, she don't know how to be submissive to a man, and that's why we date outside of our race. And it's like, that's insane.
It sounds like you
That's
just want
insane.
a slave.
Uh, and
The
that,
passport
but
bros that be traveling around the world talking about,
right,
oh, these girls do this, these girls do that. Even back in college, this boy, again, that one that was like, he was a very close friend of me. And I used to be Black Student Union president. And there was this time that we're having a conversation around interracial relationships. And he uttered out of his mouth, oh, the white women take care of me. They got pillows in their room for me. They take me to the Willie C, which that was the dining hall that was cheaper, by the way. And I was just thinking, like, are you serious? You're literally in my apartment. All y'all boys come over to my apartment and eat my fruit snacks and eat my chicken wings before we are all going down to the club.
that's
So if
funny.
you're sitting up here
You don't
talking
want
about
mamas.
how all these women, they're doing this, they're doing that, and like you're in my bed, you're watching
And you
my
out.
Netflix, you're
And
eating
you out.
my food, eating up my fruit snacks. Oh, but they take me to the Willie. I was like, y'all, that they really like the black men. I love black men, but they really put a lot of things into perspective for me back in high school and in college.
Yeah.
Sometimes they would be the type to like they would act like they don't really like me, but then they see somebody else interested in me, and now we're downtown. They're like, "Oh, you looking cute." I told one of them, I said, "Don't act like you like me in public, because what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
come it takes somebody else to be in our face for you to actually show that you have feelings? Why are
You know
you
what is
watching
like?
me at the club? Like, I don't understand." Because you had all this time. You could have said something when we were on the basketball court, because I've definitely picked up a partner that way. He was my second boyfriend,
Mhm.
okay?
It reminds me of guys who would like eat their favorite sandwich. Let me say, this was actually told to me by a man I dated for damn near 13 years. He was the Gemini that was a Cancer tropically. Okay. He said to me, I don't know what it is about you. And mind you, we had just started dating. We were barely dating. Okay.
Uh-huh.
We were doing other things, but he was coming over all the time. Okay. He was like, I don't know what it is about you. I cannot put my finger on it. I don't know why. I cannot leave you alone. You are like my favorite sandwich that I put in the back of the refrigerator and would be pissed if somebody had the audacity to eat my half a sandwich. But I would not eat it. I'd rather it would probably spoil in the back. But I don't want nobody else to have it. At
Literally
that
that.
moment, at that moment, I was what, 20, I was 20, 22, maybe 22, I think, 21, 22, 22. At that moment, my first spirit say, I heard it. I knew he was not for me, and I did it anyway. First thing he did when he ever came to my house, first time he came to my house was stick his tongue in my throat, and I was like, that was disgusting. He brought
Disgusting.
me, he brought me a mango and a water, 2 bottles of water, and I was like, oh, that's nice. You came bearing gifts, like he understood, and he never came to my house without something. Whatever it was, it had to be something small. But the first time he did that, I was like, "There's no way in God's green that I would ever be with this person." He was talking about himself the whole time. Didn't give two shits about what I was doing. Didn't listen to nothing. And I was like, "You are not even here anymore." And I ended up being with this man for damn near 13.
Girl,
I
wild,
I
crazy,
was
which is also
obsessed with him. Okay, obsessed. First man I lived with. No, he wasn't the first man I lived, but
that's
it
crazy, because
was
now I'm
it
thinking
was
about your birth
it was
chart.
wild. It was
Because
wild.
if he's a
June 30th.
if he's
I
June
matter of fact,
30th, he would have shown up. He would have, well, it's the opposite to your fourth house. He would have shown up in your 10th house, but I'm now trying to think, why
77.
were you able to stay with that person for so long?
Girl, it was
I'm
an
really looking.
obsession
I'm. Let me look at your birth chart real
because
quick,
I
because
actually
that opposition is very interesting. Oh, June 30th. It's kind
he
of
did not
close.
want he was so that like he was very secretive. Like he always wanted me to believe one thing, but it was like another. He was very he was one of those types of people that he knew everybody, could not walk down the street without them talking.
That makes
And
sense.
that's the Gemini. Now it makes sense
Yeah,
because he
well,
will
it's
spend
also where your
hours.
Gemini is, because it's very much public eye. But even though that's
Yes.
not his specific chart placement, that's how he showed up in your specific life. But I'm still looking at your chart and trying to understand where part of that dynamic. Oh, maybe I should look at your tropical chart, and that might give me some answers actually. Because from this angle, I don't think you would. Obviously, you wouldn't be riding like that anymore, and they
No.
wouldn't be coming into your life in that way. I don't think, because
He,
of.
every year, once a year, we met in the same spot. And I was like, and I
Oh,
worked with
it's
him twice. It was
okay.
weird. We just kept meeting each other.
You know what's
So
actually
strange.
interesting? Now I'm looking at your chart and following the lines and the pattern. who you would be attracting is also specifically in your third house. So like social spaces, but it's near your IC. So there was probably some kind of comfortability or something, some kind of dynamic that's also coming from the past, like very familiar because of where
No.
Gemini is and where your Sagittarius is sitting in opposition in your chart, where maybe he was somebody that was, what I want to say, somebody who was, maybe you could have good conversations, expansive conversations with him, and that might have
Yeah.
felt like at home. Does that make sense, or does that resonate in a way?
Yeah, we talked, we laughed a lot. He was a comedian. I was always the
Oh
first
my
to crack a
gosh.
joke.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, the third house, Gemini, it's third house with the Gemini because that rules Gemini, but then Gemini at the top. Okay, comedian, interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
But see, again, he had aspirations. He was on a TV show. Like this was back when, oh my God, The Real World. Remember you may not even remember that show. The
I do.
first,
I do know the real world.
yes, that was like the first reality TV show. So he was on this like offspring or offshoot show in Boston,
Mm-hmm.
and he was destined to. He was like, "I'm going to California to
Oh,
become a star," and blah blah blah. And I was like, "Okay." But he competed with me all the time. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna get his. I know I have his information. Time with her. I know I do. I know I have his information somewhere. I'm very curious to see why
the
I was. I
alignment.
was when I tell you I was so he his pheromones, like I would like literally sleep in his armpit. I craved his scent. It was just
That's
like I was like
crazy. I think this
it
person
was
made you feel at
wild.
home or something in some way because
But he was such an
oh,
asshole to me, girl.
yeah,
He was
like other than that,
so
like I don't
mean.
know how that would have been an immediate. Of course, I got to look at the whole birth chart
Communist.
of somebody else, but I think yeah, you could have, it could have been that dynamic that is, yeah, at home, but there's relativity there because
Oh, I
you
love
are
that.
also somebody that has this Gemini placement, your Black Moon Lilith specifically as a Gemini. So it's almost like you were seeing parts of yourself probably through this person, but not ready to
Yeah.
actually stand in the limelight like this person.
Well, this is when I joined my band. So he
Mm,
actually like
he
he
catapulted
taught
you.
me how to he taught me how to dress. He was like out there. And
Mm,
we would buy each other clothes. Like we were all into fashion. But we were the type of people that people would think we were celebrities. I promise you,
mm.
people would ask to take pictures of us.
That makes
We just was like,
sense.
yeah, of course. Like it was very mirrored. And he taught me a lot about being, like I just felt so dope with him. You know what I'm saying? I felt like, yo, you can't tell me, you can't tell me nothing. I loved him for real. And we actually we don't still talk like you know, in that sense, but I every once in a blue, you know, I'll just check up on him and say, hey,
It's very, that's
um,
so interesting because his sun sign would have shown up in your 10th house and close, not exact, but it's close to your Black Moon Lilith. So it was almost as though like the parts of you that sometimes even you might hide, where it's like you get to talk your
mm,
shit, you get to sing, you get to do all the things that have to do with communication. He was literally showing you like that glam side of it all, like kind
yes,
of,
he was very
hey,
Turanian
you
energy
you
too.
you get
Like,
to show up, because
yeah,
your 10th house is all about the public house, the public view, perspective, and where we have authority. And for somebody to have that sun sign there, it's very interesting. I'd be curious what other things, because girl, how did you last 13 years in it?
yeah,
Just
it was very stressful. It was very
so
stressful.
interesting. So
Yeah,
interesting. Let me see
but
if there's any other are you want to bounce?
I need to use the bathroom so
Oh, go use the bathroom. I'll read some random ass comments. Don't turn the camera off, but I'll mute you. Is that okay?
Yeah, I was just gonna, yeah.
Okay. Let me see what other comments out here. This So, Shamik, because you are here, and I don't know if anybody else is here and you are wanting to say hello, please drop a hello. Drop your birthday in the chat if you would like to know what your true zodiac sign is while we take this mini break. I'm going to be looking through some of these comments here because there's so much going on. So basically, this Love Island TV show, I wrote a post and there's a lot of comments where people either agree or there's people that are highly disagreeing and having a lot to say about that. And some of the comments are hilarious, to be honest, because of the fact that it's very reflective of society, very much reflective of society. And I feel as though society, we got to get it together. You know, there's people that don't understand who I am, so they're definitely taking what I have said out of context because they don't know who I am. But let me see. Let's see. Somebody said, and they fly in the face of toxic and false narratives about masculinity. They're conveniently attractive, high sought after, and still do traditionally manly things while naturally embracing and respecting the divine feminine. That one's a nice one, a kind one. Men are really hating on Love Island and the women who watch it this season, and I don't think that's a coincidence. It's not a coincidence because of where we are energetically. You know, earlier in the video, I had talked about how we have Pluto in Capricorn, we have Jupiter in Cancer, we also have Venus that was pretty much conjunct with the South Node in the last couple of weeks. So by the end of this TV show, where everyone is now also in their personal lives thinking about relationships. So it's by design, astronomically, that we are thinking about this. I know for myself, like I said in the beginning of the video, like I've been journaling this week because there were so many things that not only the show had showed me, but also my personal life that was reflecting some things that I know I need to heal. Like I've been vulnerably and admittedly so irritated and angry with men while still loving men. That's the truth, because I feel as though in society for many years, we have been saying that men do this and men do that, and men are protectors and men are leaders and men are whatever the fuck else people be saying about men. And yet, when I look at my friends' relationships, when I look at my own relationships, when I look at people I care about, I have not seen that many people that have like a solid relationship where I'm like, oh, yeah, I desire to live a life like that. Like, not at all. And I think that is unfortunate because, you know, a lot of people in this lifetime, yeah, you do get to live a life with someone else and have that be a healthy relationship. But I think in society, we just don't see enough of that. Even thinking about Disney, right? Anaya wanted to have a fairy tale. And like, I've never been one of those girls that believed in fairy tales, but I believed in it for her. Like, I thought that was so beautiful how she actually got to live that fairy tale life, that dream. It was like she literally quantum leaped from a false ascension timeline with KC and into a fairy tale timeline with Carl that she absolutely deserved because she stuck it through. She almost actually went home. And I think it was beautiful in the way that he showed up for her. And even the way that he complimented her, it was never like, oh, you're a beautiful Black woman. He never needed to say any of that. And I feel as though Casey having to constantly remind Anaya that she was a Black woman and a beautiful one reminds me of the times that when I was working at Walmart back in the day and I was one of the only black cashier. Actually, I was the only black cashier allowed to be in that position. Everybody else who was black would have to stock the shelves, and there would be customers that would say, "Oh, you're pretty for a black girl." It's like, Casey, if you actually just believe that she was a beautiful girl, I don't think you needed to say that she's, when I think of a black woman, I think of you, and say all this shit that doesn't really hold weight when after the fact you're talking shit about her behind her back. And also, is TT also that person who you think of when you see a black woman? Like, black women are not a monolith. And when Carl, for example, would say, like, you have very natural beauty, he's not saying you have natural black beauty. Like, weird. It's weird. You could see the difference in somebody that's just being genuine and authentic, because he wasn't saying any of that to TT, actually. He wasn't saying you're a beautiful black woman. It's almost as though he wanted her to feel like she was less than in a way while kind of giving her a compliment, if that makes sense. It was kind of like trying to reassure her, even though she said, like, I don't need that type of reassurance. Like, I'm not down on myself.
Right. And if that's all you see me, guys, you're not actually seeing me.
You're not actually seeing me. If somebody was like, "Oh, you're a beautiful black girl," it'd be like, "No, I'm a fucking beautiful girl. Are you kidding? Why are we putting the word black in there? Are you saying that black women are genuinely ugly, or generally
Right.
ugly,
And
or
you are
typically
you're
ugly?"
the right. And you're the exception. It's so weird. Because you wouldn't, I mean, they think it's a compliment, right? It's almost like my intention is to give you a compliment, but
Mhm.
I'm going to take this compliment and turn it into, you know, like some kind of weird anomaly. Like you're not
Yeah, like a rarity. Like, "Oh,
you.
you're a
It's
beautiful black woman." Like,
yeah. Like I'm sorry. So is my mom, and
so
so is
so
her
is my
mom.
mom. And that
So
actually, it's bringing me back to college again, because a lot of the
excuse me.
black guys, like, specifically, there was these two that every day, the whole freshman semester, would ask me, "Well, what do you mix with? What do you mix with? What do you mix with? You're not black. There's no way you're just black. Are you mixed? What do you mix with? Where's your family from?" And it's like, number one, to anybody who is new here and listening to me, I'm adopted. So I don't know my full roots at all, but I'm black. So that's all I knew myself to be. It took until I went
Mhm.
home to tell my mom, like, after that first semester, like, "Mom, I'm like the only black person," because everybody was Jamaican or Bayesian from some other place. And then my mom was like, "Well, actually, your biological father is from Panama." And I was like, "So sure." I guess I have been kind of lying, but I didn't know that I was lying. And also, the way in which they were asking these questions was because they were treating me as though I'm only pretty because I was mixed.
Exact. Exact. That's the weird part. It's like, am I pretty because of something else? Like,
Exactly.
I
They're
can't just
making
be
it seem
pretty.
as though because I'm
The
mixed with
color
something, that
that
I have some extra sauce that makes me pretty. And it's like, there's many, like, everyone is beautiful in their own way. There's a whole
right,
range of what we get to look like in this lifetime,
right. And
you
not only
know?
that, but like again, the show was not specifically for black women or black men. It
It's
was
just
a
that
universal show. And it's like, why does it
it's a
always have to be
exactly.
this this black woman chose this white man and blah blah, and I get
Mhm.
it because of the heightened space we're in our real lived lives. We as black people are seeing black men and women, babies being killed every day by the oppressor, right? The white man. This is also true. You said this is the third, fourth time I'm saying it. Two things can be true at the same
Mhm.
time. But that does not mean that all black men are great men and all white women are or white men are horrible men. This
Exactly.
was as a woman, she chose someone who was opting to bring forth her joy and
exact, and that is
Her
that
ability to
right
be
there.
soft. You know what I'm saying? Like
That's all
I've
we
dated,
desire.
I've had a Carl. You know what I'm saying? Like one of my loves of my life before the other guy that we are just talking about.
Hmm.
He was a 6'3" Japanese white man, and I sweated him to the ground. It was amazing, and yeah, it's like you do with people who loving it.
Hmm.
You have respect for me. I'm gonna show love and respect for you. You know.
Exactly, exactly. We're not out here saying like, "Oh, you're pretty for a rhino." Like all the rhinos look beautiful. We're not naming just one
It's so
rhino for
crazy.
like, it's a weird
It's
thing.
so crazy. It's not a
Yeah, and
compliment. It's
it's not and literally that. It is not a compliment. And when people say that or like, "Oh, you speak very articulate for a black woman." It's like, "Yeah, I'm
oh
fucking
my God.
smart. I went to
I've been hearing that
college."
all my life. And I'm like, I'm the most ghetto mouthed person in my group of people, you know? And I've
Yeah.
been hearing that all my life. Like when I lived in New York, I would come here to Massachusetts for the summers and I would go back and all my friends would be like, why are you talking like that? You sound like a white girl. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. And I would tell my mother, like, I don't want to go back because they keep telling me that I sound like a white girl. She's like, well, where do you want to be? Not here.
Yeah, not here.
Not here.
Because what does that mean? Every state, every country, every location, like in Mexico, there's a shit ton of different dialects. Same thing in America. There's a shit ton, well, this is all America technically. There's a shit ton of dialects and from state to state, everyone speaks in a different way. I'm from New York. When I go down south to visit my cousins, they why you talk all proper? Like, why you talk all proper? You from New York? It's like, yeah, actually I am. Like even in New York is huge. And I did a whole project for my what year was that? I don't remember, it might have been my junior year, but I did a whole project on the different ways that people from New York speak. Because when I worked at Walmart while I was going to college, the first thing that was on the belt was Pepsi or Coca-Cola. And this man kept saying, "Did you get my pop? Did you get my pop?" And I'm like, "Sir, I don't understand what you're saying. My pop, my
You.
pop." And he's like yelling at me. I'm like, "Bro, like I don't
What
understand
are you
what
talking
pop
about?
is." He was literally talking about the soda.
Right.
When we
Right.
think about pop, is you get popped.
That part. Or like the candy rock pops. That's what I be
Or
thinking about.
a
Like your
pop
pop,
rock,
like pop rock.
exactly. When
Sweet.
we think about lollipops, like this used to always be a debate with people from Western New York
Mhm.
and then, Eastern New York. When we say lollipops, we mean all the lollipops. It doesn't matter whether it's big, whether it's a little dum dum, we don't care. In Western New York, a lollipop is only those big circle ones with the different colors in it. That's a
Really?
lollipop. And then the other ones, the small
Suckers?
ones, the dumb a sucker. And when we say sucker in East New York,
You a jive turkey. You a
exactly, you a
sucker.
jive turkey
Like
sucker.
you
Like what? So like I
yo,
made this
listen,
whole project
hoagie,
from that.
grinder, remember that? And a sub and a grinder and a hoagie are told all three different things. I
All
don't care
different
what you're talking
things.
about.
All different
Tennis
things. So
shoes versus sneakers.
sneakers,
Yo,
it's
we
so
say
different.
sneakers. We don't say tennis shoes. We say, give me
No,
some of them
no, because
sneakers.
like why do we need all those extra words?
What
There
we
was
don't
something
say
else. It
tennis
was it
shoes. I'm
was
not playing tennis.
soda pop sucker, soda pop sucker. What was the other one that the project was on? I'm forgetting what the other one was. But whatever it was, all I know is like that just goes to show you even in one state there's so many hours of travel in the one
That's
state of New
funny.
York, 3 hours for Long Island. When I used to run track and we had a state track meet, that was 9 hours away from where I lived, and we were
Wow.
still in New York, at the top of New York. So and then my college was 5 hours away from where I lived. So it's like there's so many dialects that get to show up, and it's crazy in the way that people try to claim like, oh, you sound like X, Y, and Z because of whatever the case, when it's like, let's be real, we are all speaking the colonizer's language.
One. And number two, y'all are speaking more of a foreign language because your dialect comes from the French, the Haitian Creoles that ruled the whole bottom half of the United States for 1700s and beyond, for like 50 years. That's where that dialect, that's where the Southern dialect come from the Dutch, French, Creole. That is Louisiana shit. That's Haiti. Y'all don't even know that because if you knew it, you would kill yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, don't say it's true. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
It's
And
true.
we didn't have that. We were straight British, you know, colonies up in the north. You know what I mean? We had a whole bunch of white folks up here
Yeah, yeah.
teaching us how to
It's
talk. But my grandmother, my great grandmother, she was from Barbados and she spoke very proper English.
mm,
She had a heavy, her accent, but they all spoke British. They were colonized by the British, so they speak proper English. Even though they have a dialect, but it's English. They're like,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Potato like that. Like I don't know.
I have
That's
relatives, excuse me,
no
that
slang.
would speak, and they're speaking English, but because they have an accent, no entiendo nada. Literally nada.
You're making me hungry, right? Shaman is making me hungry right now. We
Right?
would
Let me
call so that's a steak and cheese. Period. What you're describing,
I miss a
Shaman,
good
is just a
sandwich
straight
actually.
steak and cheese. We wouldn't call that a hoagie or grinder. Some people, you could say a steak and cheese grinder. You could, but if it's just straight steak and cheese, I'm gonna need a steak and cheese. The hoagie was like one of those kind of like um baguettes with stuffed with like meats. Like a hoagie was like tons and tons of meat, but it was a
Ugh,
certain type of
I
bread.
miss those sandwiches. I miss the New York sandwich, but let me not talk
Hmm.
about that before I get far, far off. Because now you're making me hungry, Shamek. What are we doing here?
No, like
Let me see
The
if there's
Philly.
any other comment that is like, let's see what sparks. There's some men, some black men specifically, that are just leaving memes, which is funny because it's not actually funny. This would be something that would kind of annoy me about men, is how sometimes their lack of communication or their ability to articulate what they're really feeling, they would do it through a meme or they would do it through emojis. And sometimes my dad does that too, where he'll send like a meme of something and I'm just like, or partners that I've had in the past where they're sending a meme and it's just like, bro, what are you actually trying to say? Like, just say what you want to say. Say what
Right.
you want to say and let the words come out. Honestly, I'm tired of y'all using jokes in order to express yourself. Like, that's the fucking problem. Let's see.
Yeah.
I like both Bryce and Carl, but let's not pretend that Bryce didn't try to explore Kata twice and got rejected both times. If Kata was interested in Bryce, he would not have stayed with Trinity. Also, Carl never got a chance to explore other girls because everyone was closed off by that time he got there. Put Carl in a villa on week 1, and I doubt he would have only talked to Anaya. Okay, starting
Exactly.
with Bryce tried to explore Kata twice. Now, my post was literally about specifically Casa Amor, and like that was the point of what they're supposed to be doing, is to explore. But Kata obviously was not interested. Does that mean that he wasn't loyal? No, he was actually going to explore for a hot second. So I'm not saying that that's not a bad. bad thing to do. What I'm saying is that when they were at Casa Amor, maybe nobody was actually interested in Bryce. Maybe they were. And also, Bryce couldn't stop thinking about Trinity. So he was preferring to be loyal and like not date anybody else. So that doesn't really, I don't get that comment. And then the fact that Carl never got a chance to explore other girls. Okay, Carl came in that house saying, Anaya, I play volleyball. I want you to see me. I want you to play volleyball with my family. That is what Carl said. Carl, I don't think had any intentions with anybody else. He wanted a tall, beautiful, athletic woman. And that's what he got.
Yeah.
You know, he came in there with intention. Yeah, he was a bombshell, but at the same time, every single opportunity that Carl had, he always chose Anaya first. And yeah, Anaya technically didn't choose him when there was an opportunity to choose him. But a lot of people are saying, oh, some of these comments are saying that Anaya doesn't deserve Carl because she didn't choose him. But what people fail to understand is that some people choose comfort. No matter how many times Sincere disrespected Melanie, she still chose him. But like I was sharing with you earlier, like I really think that Sincere and Melanie have some sort of South Node aspect that is keeping them together in the way that they are. You know, I don't necessarily like the terminology around twin flame, but if I'm looking at it from the perspective of like, okay, in the first episode, both of them had said like, oh, you seem very familiar. You look very familiar. Do I know you? Like they actually thought that the other person felt like they've known each other before. So to me, that is telling me that, okay, they have some kind of like South Node, North Node thing going on. And somebody actually confirmed on one of my posts where I'm having these speculations. And they said that Melanie and Sincere have a synastry of a moon South Node conjunction and a moon North Node conjunction. So both of their moons are in the opposite signs of their South Node or North Node. And that to me is definitely a karmic relationship. There's some people where they will just not walk away from the relationship until they feel satisfied, until somebody hurts another person, until they realize I deserve better. Yep. But their own worthiness has to come into play first. The way in which Melanie would talk to some of the other cast members, it was almost as though I wish she would hear herself speak, you know, and that's part of the healing. You know, I'm sitting here talking about this TV show. I've told you, you know, how I felt in the beginning of the week around what I shared with you. Like I was in here crying, y'all, crying because of the way that my father has reflected in different partnerships and different relationship dynamics that I have personally had. And mind you, none of them, not a single one of them are like Sincere or KC, because those men literally never get past anything. Like KC is the type of person that reminds me of many of these men in the past who, if you don't like them, you're immediately called a stupid black bitch right afterwards. After they say that they like you and you say, I'm sorry, I'm not really that interested, then they're like, oh, you stupid, you ugly anyway. And it's like, wait a minute. You just said that you like me, and now because I'm rejecting you, now you have an issue. That's what Casey reminds me of. And I think, I'm not saying that that's the type of person he is, because again, I don't know any of these people, but his energy reminded me of that, because soon as Anaya now has Carl, he's saying in the locker room, like, or no, in the confession, he's happy. Why? Because now she could get off his dick. Like, that's what he's saying. Excuse me. Where did we jump timelines here?
Anybody who had any real feelings towards somebody would not immediately use those words to describe them, even if they were butthurt.
It's like
no.
This is how he's acting on TV. Like, phew. Now she's got somebody else.
To save face.
Exactly, to say exactly. And I feel like he's the type that had to save face throughout the whole season, because every single time he would make a face, even the other cast members where they were all asked like mimic somebody else, they all were rolling their eyes. And every single time I saw Casey show up on my TV screen, This man reminds me of the red angry bird. He always looked mad. And his eyebrows the same exact way as the fucking angry birds. I think that man is totally playing a facade, and he's the type of person just based off of TV. And I know I'm not even sitting here trying to disrespect that man, but he literally reminds me of people who are potentially going to create some kind of harm.
Mm.
It's very it reminds me of, yeah, I'm not trying to name, I'm not trying to diagnose anybody. He just reminds me of a really unsafe male. He reminds me of an unsafe male. The way he was standing up and being kind of like aggressive and trying to like overtower and show dominance in like movie night and things like that. Like I feel like Carl, when he was sitting on the couch and watching how they were acting, all these other guys were acting and arguing back with the females. I feel like Carl in that moment was like, wow, I'm in a house with boys. Like, oh, in that moment, he was like, okay, I'm on this TV show. His face looked like he was ready to hurt that man. And honestly, I think a lot of times too, people are trying to create this story and this narrative around like, oh, they're just trying to diminish the black man and this, that, and the third. And it's like, no, but he had an opportunity to treat her better. He had an opportunity to speak differently. No one forced him to say those things. The way that he treated Titi was completely different because Titi opened up to him for with nothing. There were no dynamics that she needed to get through. All she needed to do is kiss a man, and he felt like, okay, Anaya's a grandma, but that's because you were more so in your feminine. You wanted to be chaste clearly in that house. And when women don't feel as though you're being a safe, strong, foundational, healthy, masculine man, of course their flower is going to stay curled up. Anaya, the way it's like a fucking lotus.
That's
That's
how it is.
a healthy masculine man will open up anybody. I don't care if you're white, black, Puerto Rican, Chinese, Asian, like
Green, purple, or
green,
gray. No matter.
green, purple, blue. Like I don't
You could be
care.
4 feet tall. Okay? 4 feet tall.
Treat me with
Whoa.
kindness, and we all will open up. Feed me,
That part.
feed me, and I will open up. Okay,
That part.
it just
I
has to
got
be
nine
good.
minutes left in me.
Okay. So yeah, all we could definitely close this because it's just like I think in times we have lost the plot in relationships, and I think that this TV show
Percent.
shows us how we have lost the plots because they're the face of what society is. It's not like they were given a role to play. They played up the roles that they play in on their own, you know?
Yep.
So I'm willing, and I think like a message for people who are potentially watching this or who will watch this, because we are in Jupiter in Cancer and Venus is in Leo and Pluto is in Capricorn and Mercury retrograde is in Gemini. This is a great time to journal, to revisit the narratives you have around relationships, to revisit the family dynamics that you have that are maybe not what you will for your own future, to look at places where the relationships and the dynamics that you've maybe even seen with your parents were not healthy. And what is it that you were choosing to call in and also release? And where are we still holding on to the dynamics of the patriarchy and how that truly needs to be fucking dismantled, deleted, and
100%.
disintegrated from all timelines, spaces, realities, and versions and iterations. Okay?
That's it.
So that's my little spiel tea with the astronomical clarity. And if you have any additional words, Noni, please.
Because I didn't watch the show, the whole point was just gain an awareness of where we are sitting as a collective. And, you know, I think that is very telling. Like I said prior, we all need healing. Both men and women need to balance out whatever side of themselves that are not grounded, whether it's masculine or feminine. We all need to start taking more accountability for ourselves and really working with ourselves to know where our triggers are, where we were, what stories that we've created around how we perceive ourselves in relationships, um, what we actually want outside of what society says, outside of what our mom and them say, outside of what our past relationships have said to us. What is it that you actually want? What do you actually need? Do they line up with who you are now? And how can you show up for yourself as an individual to love yourself enough that you don't even have to your energy, your vibration will literally align itself with the person that you're meant, and we don't have to spew out all this negativity to people who are working through their own. You know, as a society, the patriarchal system is and has always been a detriment to both men and women. And I think in this current time, we are seeing more women awakening to the knowing and the understanding that I no longer have to choose marriage and family before myself because I have the opportunity to be educated, to be self sufficient, to be independent, and to choose myself and understand what love really means. So that if I want to have a relationship with
Mm-hmm.
a man and have children, I know what that looks, I know what that feels like. I know what that looks like for myself.
Yeah,
I'm gonna attract that, but gonna be more in line with what it is that I'm wanting because it's not out of a necessity or a need, it's because I'm actually have this as an option.
exactly.
And I think once we get to a space where this new identified, woman has a space, the men can rise to the occasion because right now they're not. And they're looking for a woman that does not even exist anymore. And they're there, but they're very far few in between at this point because, again, women are coming to their own more. They're the gold diggers, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, yeah, but are you a labor digger? Are you looking for somebody to just labor for you? And a lot of people are, right? A lot of men
Yeah,
still are looking for laborers because that's how they identify with love. That's what they've
yeah.
done for themselves to show up as their own worthiness. I'm worth
Mm-hmm.
something because I can labor for the respect. I can labor for my family. Now you don't have to do that because it's completely unequal. In this day and age, you have to have two incomes to survive. You can't,
Mm-hmm.
one man can just go out and do and da 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 da. It's way harder for the average, we're talking about people, the average person, American family to do so. And so once we come to that understanding where there's more balance because we're doing our own individual work, I feel like we'll be in a better position to teach the children coming up, especially the men, that it's okay to be, emotionally intelligent and to cry and to ask for the space to do that. And,
Mm-hmm.
to be masculine does not mean there's no requirement for you to be a certain way. And, for women to be like, no, that does not look, that's not what masculinity is, because we have to redefine what masculinity is for us too.
1000%.
You know,
One thousand
like
percent.
masculinity doesn't have to show up as some brute who's just ready to,
Fight
come for
everything.
somebody. Yeah, come
Mm-hmm.
for somebody because they
Yeah,
took it from me. It's like, and why would you want that? Don't you want your man
yeah.
to look up, who's up for you? For why? That doesn't
That
mean he's
yeah.
a man because he can fight.
Yeah, and
You
that's
know what
what
I mean?
annoys me about the word protection. We're here to protect you. If you are supposed to be the breadwinner and you're outside of the house all day working and somebody was to come to the house, the women is they're protecting themselves and their kids and the house to the best of their ability. Where are you? It's just like how the cops are not superheroes. They respond to crime. They do not prevent crime. The responders. And I think a lot of
Right.
times when men want to say, "Oh, we're strong and protective," it's like I feel like you guys think that you're going to have to fight people all day, and like that's
Oh,
not
listen.
actually attractive. If
You
you are
don't.
going to have to
Not
square
you.
up because somebody looks at me or because somebody, I don't know, whatever the fuck, it's just not giving. It's
I will say
giving
this
you
though.
don't know how to control yourself, you
Maybe
know?
it is the environment. Maybe you do live in the hood where you have to square up all the time. But there's
Not in a
if there's
relationship.
another man, right? That's what I'm saying. If there's another, right, it shouldn't be over this woman. That means that she's doing something wrong. If she's making herself available
Yep.
to this other person and he's thinking he has a chance, that's a whole different story. But
Mhm.
if you feel like you have to fight for your life just to walk down the street, now that's different. You know,
Exactly.
it should be over some woman and it shouldn't be over some men. Women
Mhm.
be fighting and throwing blows over some dude who don't even care.
I
They don't
literally
even
don't
care.
care.
And so it is interdependent on where you are and where where your mindset is. Also, at the end of the day, how much do you love yourself? How much are you willing to work on being your best self opposed to, you know, thinking that a man is required for you to feel whole,
That
and
part.
these things also have to be taught too,
Yes,
but
I love
no one
that you
speaks
said
to
that.
them.
Mhm. I love that you said that because a lot of people are seeking relationships from a place of feeling lack within themselves and they're wanting somebody to complete them. And if you are seeking to have a partner in order to feel complete or whole, you're missing the point because you are already whole. You are already what is necessary to have a strong dynamic. You do not want to be seeking somebody in order to fill some kind of void because then there is always going to be some kind of imbalance. Two whole
Mhm.
people make a unionship. Two whole people create a relationship that is healthy, but they have to know that they are whole already.
Mhm.
To be in a
Because it's
relationship is
you,
a choice. And as
especially if you're
Shamik
married.
said, in natural history, it was the women that protected the home while the men were out hunting and fighting. 1000%. And I think we need to just honor the roles that we choose to have in relationships based on our birth chart.
Matchmaker, make me a match, find me a mate, rate me a catch. Whatever the song is.
Period.
That's a real thing.
So,
So,
anyway, in conclusion,
yeah,
thank you all so much for listening to this 3 hour, 30-minute stream. And if
yeah.
any of you would like to actually work with us on a personal level, we have many offers. They are all in the description. We have many deeps for people who are potentially moving through a different cycle in their life. Maybe they are transforming. Maybe they're still in that between space of who they were, who they are becoming. We have many deeps. This is for your current cycle and your current transit. I am an astrologer, and Noni here is a psychic and oracle, a sound bath practitioner. She is, among many, many things, also an herbalist, so a Reiki healer, master. So there's really so many options and opportunities for you to experience our medicine. We have Visions and Values, which is focused on your business. bringing that into reality. If you are having ideas, but you don't have that much clarity and you would like some clarity psychically as well as with your astronomical birth chart, that is what we do together. We also have 3-month mentorship. So we work together to work through the specific time portal that we are in using the cosmos in order to bring you clarity and help you move through your spiritual journey, because trust and believe, spirituality is not all sunshine and roses like everybody makes it seem with their, like, cotton and, hat. They're not even cotton, my bad. Their linen and their hat and the
I
feathers. Like,
agree.
that's not spirituality. Spirituality is not a costume. It is a being. It is who you are. It is your breath. So we help people do that as well. That is in the description. If you would like to book a private reading with Noni, feel welcome to do that. She has many, many tools that could help you heal and progress, as well as me. I am here to serve and help people pay attention to what's actually happening in the sky so that we can fuck the system. So, with that, oh, also branding. I am a graphic designer and a photographer. And if you are someone who is seeking to build your business using your birth chart, and you would like to be able to have all of the resources and tools that is necessary for you to make your brand look good based on your birth chart, come through. Again, I have my links in the description, and I look forward to meeting whoever you are who is, wanting to work with us. So thank you so much,
Thank
Noni,
you.
for entertaining this conversation about a TV show that you did not watch,
Very
because it's been
interesting.
fun. It's very, I mean, I'm gonna be back to me probably in a few days. I will come back actually with this topic because the reunion is going to be at the end of August. So I'm definitely going to be watching that. But yeah, I'm getting back to reality. So all those people who said that I need to get healing and I need to get a therapist and I need to talk to God, it's like
Hi.
God is always at the forefront of my work. And no, I won't be going to a therapist.
For so many
So
reasons. So,
for many reasons, but I use astrology. That is my tool, and I do other spiritual work. So thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
hi.
Bye, Shamik.